He's with me. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We need that paper.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you got it?
All right. Welcome everybody to our monthly regularly scheduled school board meeting, December 14th, 2021. It's 6:17. We've been in closed session and I'll call the regular portion of our meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please, Jen?
Stephanie Ahmad.
Here.
Rich Carnation.
Here.
Eric Heights.
Here.
Malinali Lopez.
Here.
Bill Adams is absent. And student
No,
board.
he's here,
Oh,
he's here.
No,
sorry,
no, Bill
he's-
Adams
Oh,
is
you've got
here.
him. Okay. Bill Adams is here by
Here,
phone.
here.
Sorry. And Kai Heflin, student board member.
Here.
Jen, I don't know if they can back in the AV room, but when you're talking, we're here to echo.
I know I can hear an echo. Are you still hearing it? Okay,
Oh.
we're all fixed. Great. All right, so Eric is going to do the flag salute. Let's do that.
Okay, if you're able, please stand. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is report out of closed session. We do have something to report. We have a student readmission. This is case number 121119. The motion is whether to readmit the student to the district with direction to have the student meet with leadership at North Bay Med Academy and Windsor High School before enrolling. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I made a motion to admit the student 12119 back into.
All right, do I have a second?
I seconded that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that is 5, and the motion carries. Thank you. We are going to go to, so we are going to recognize our football team first, I believe. Is that on the agenda?
It's under athletics.
Oh, it's under athletics. So we are in adjustments to the agenda. I just had a request to move that way up. And I think we can move it up. Where do we think is a good
6.2
Place.
to 3.2.
Sorry, 6.2 to 3.2?
3.2.
Okay, we will move it right up to 3.2. Okay, so that'll go next. And then we had another item that is moving from 7.4 is moving to 7.1.
No, it's, yeah.
And those will all move down. And I think that's all we have for adjustments.
So are we
Eric?
moving the entire item, 6.2, or just the presentation of the football players?
That's a good question.
I don't see Jamie here.
Let's just.
Okay, so we're going to separate out item 6.2. We're going to do celebrating success. We're going to add that in as item 3.2, keep that at 6.2, and then the other adjustments that I mentioned. Okay, thanks for that housekeeping. We'll go on to 3.2, the new 3.2, which is celebrating success. Very exciting. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Board of Trustees. And we're not only celebrating football, but we also have some of our volleyball players with us tonight. So I'd like to introduce, and come on up, Sophia Lopez, Dia Mosquedo, Damian Escarcega, and Chase Viemeyer. Give a big round of applause. So these two on the right are the football players, and then these two are the volleyball players.
Thanks for clarifying.
Okay. So both of these teams have made it farther than any other Windsor team in their sport in the history of Windsor High School. Both made it to state level championships.
Wow.
And we also had planned on recognizing Mekhi Johnson, but he has also joined the basketball team. So he is playing basketball, but we want to recognize him. He's having his signing ceremony tomorrow, and he is accepted to Cal Poly.
Yay.
All right.
So Chase, go ahead and hold it on up. So you'll see the North Coast Section California Interscholastic Federation Championships for the Division III champions. And you saw that we were walking around with a ring measurer for those of you who are interested in getting your championship ring, because without all of you, this could have never been possible. So thank you so much. You guys have anything you want to say? Damien? He's good. All right. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Before you go, just
Brian?
wait. Before
Hey.
you go, can you hear me? I just wanted to say that as an alumni of, this district and Windsor High School, you've made it so far. And it's like, if you would have been there kind of in the early years to see how far we've come, like everyone is so proud of you for what you've done. Like, and just, I'm sure you are all wonderful, amazing students at the same time. And we're just so proud of you. And yeah, I like very happy. And it's like exceeded expectations, I think, well, I'll let Rich talk, but feels like full circle. I feel like he wants to go.
Well, two things. One is, it'd be great to get all four of you and Brian to come on up so we can get a picture. But not to correct Stephanie, because as a Stanford attorney, she's always been right. But I just might want to add a little bit. As far as exceeding expectations, no, man, I've been dreaming about this for 27 years. And I just wanted to just keep on going. I'm kind of greedy. So to all the other folks around Windsor and stuff, this is just, I appreciate you guys setting a new bar for the folks that are coming behind you to reach it and exceed and go after that. So thanks for being good examples, but we'd love to get a great picture with you guys.
If I could make a comment prior to that, awesome work. I've been involved in athletics my entire career. I'm an athletic director at another school, and I'm very proud of what I saw Windsor doing this year. I couldn't make it to all the games because I was hosting some games and having to travel with our team. But what made me even more proud, or as proud as I am of the players, is the community involvement. We filled the stadium that 5 years ago we didn't have. There were over 2,000 people, standing room only for some of those games. Very impressive, and I'm very grateful that we have that field and that area that we can play on. Same for volleyball. The bleachers were packed a lot of those games, and we're very proud to have other schools come and visit us. And so thank you to the voters and to all of you that came to the games and to all of you that are supporting their athletic program. It takes a village, and we've shown in this year and how proud we are of you, and that we want to keep this going and have our attendance stay high. And I'm sure you like playing in front of a packed stadium more than just 20 people on the sideline. So thank you.
Yeah, and I should have clarified, now we expect this every year. But we're very proud of you right now. Picture?
Should we stand?
Yeah.
You guys can come down here in front of us, or we usually stay up here. So
Yeah. And it helps with the height.
we can be taller than the
Sort of.
volleyball team. Not very often I could say that.
Can you guys see?
You're good. We'll go in between you there. Of course.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
And if you could pass along to the rest of your team that we're proud of them too, like pass it along, we'd appreciate it. Okay, item 3.3, we have public comment on open session items.
Hello, I'm Heather Cullen. I guess a couple of things. Tomorrow night at Cali, we have our 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade band concert starting at 6:30. 4th grade will be 6:30 to 7:15. And then the 5th through 8th grade bands will be from 7:30 to 8:15. And then the Windsor Middle School choir and guitar class will be playing at 6:30 in the NPR at Windsor Middle. And so you're totally welcome to come to that.
This is all tomorrow night?
Wednesday is Cali, Thursday is Windsor Middle.
Great.
Yes. So speaking of performances, I wanted to let you know that just this past month, I've been to several performances. And I went and saw Scrooge the musical. It was awesome. And everyone on stage, men, women, and children, and almost everyone in the orchestra pit were not wearing masks. The audience was. Cantiamo has been singing in this big choir in Santa Rosa, unmasked. When I went to a show at Sixth Street, they were unmasked. And I just wanted our district to consider our performances when they're all playing and singing together in a bubble anyway. If everyone outside of the school is doing it, I mean, the audiences were all masked. I just feel like we should consider allowing the performers to also sing. So I don't know why there's a double standard, and I'm just saying, if there's a way to push back and say, hey, what's going on? I don't understand why the kids are being held under a much stricter rule, harsher rules than the rest of the world just down the street. So, and along that line, I also wanted to point out, just consider the difference between a home, an organization, a government, a classroom that is run and motivated by fear, shame, and force versus a home, an organization, a government, a classroom that's run by love and freedom and proactivity. And I hope that we can just please stop the fear and the shame and the force. And let's move on to being loving, freedom-oriented, and proactive. And I know you're striving for that, but push back on the other nonsense. Just push back, and you will be okay. Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Amanda Dunbar. Just to kind of go off what Heather was saying, we've talked a little bit, but I wanted to talk. I currently have 3 children in the school district, and I wanted to discuss the vaccine efficacy and why enforcing this upcoming mandate is problematic to Windsor Unified School District. Pursuant to the CDC, the fatality rate for children from COVID-19 nationwide is 0.00003%, and the state average for California on a 7-day rolling basis is 0%. Accordingly, children are not warranted to be vaccinated for COVID-19. Also pursuant to the CDC director and Dr. Fauci, in his New York Times November 12th interview, the COVID-19 vaccine will not prevent infection or transmission of the virus, nor will it prevent serious injury, hospitalization, or death any longer. Therefore, the vaccine is no longer the best tool for prevention or of transmission. It is now, at best, a medical treatment, hence it cannot be mandated, as treatments are a personal medical choice pursuant to the state and federal constitutions. Lastly, pursuant to the FDA, the vaccine manufacturers, and multiple scientists across the nation and the world, these vaccines pose grave risks of severe myocarditis, blood clotting, and neurological damage, to name a few, predominantly prevalent in adolescents. As such, the risks of the vaccine strongly and significantly outweigh the benefits, especially as it pertains to the pediatric community. I want to know, is Windsor Unified prepared for the consequences of enforcing this on students? Families are preparing to leave this district altogether if it boils down to following mandates to get money from the state. What happens when the money is no longer there because you've lost the number of students? You may not lose a ton, but I'm sure whatever the number is, it will affect this district financially. And is the board prepared for what that fallout will be? Please just consider that there are families out here that want to see you be able to help push back and, support families. Thank you.
All right, thanks. take another public comment, but just in between, I'm going to read the public comment statement. So any person may address the board on any consent action item or item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, during this period, the board is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. You've been speaking from the podium. Just wanted to clarify our role during public comments, so you maybe wonder why aren't they saying anything. We had a question up here about whether this should be part of item 6.1, but I'm going to permit it during public comment because I think that it is separate at this point. Go ahead for our next commenter.
Hi, my name is Karen Alves, and I live here in Windsor, and I'm here, I'm assuming that it's okay to comment on an agendized item.
So you would need to wait until that agenda item. What item is it?
It's item 7.6,
Oh.
the last
You know what?
We moved it to 7.1.
No, 7.5 moved to 7.4 moved.
I'm sorry.
I am going to permit it because otherwise you're going to have to be here for a really, really, really long time. So we'll consider this part of that item for now, but please go ahead.
Well, thank you, but I don't mind waiting, but I thought I needed to come up now. But anyway, I'm here for item 7.6, considering of approval of contract with Big Picture Learning for coaching and support services related to Title VI and Native American communities. And I just want to thank this board, the school board and the school district and Jeremy Decker for all the work that you've all done in bringing this item to the agenda. And Rose Hammock, who is a Wailaki Pomo Maidu native, was going to be here tonight to speak, but she fell ill just like an hour ago. And she's not able to be here, but she asked me to thank you in her behalf. And you just don't know how much this means to especially Med Academy and Big Picture Learning. And so thank you very much.
Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll continue on. Item 3.4 is a report from our student board member, Kai Heflin.
Hello, my name is Kai Heflin. I'm the student board member for the Windsor Unified School District. And I've got a presentation. There it is, right there. All right, and so today's, thank you. Okay, so for this report, I wanted to expand on the student survey that I did last board meeting, and that was that I did a student input survey at Kali Kalmeka, a language academy. And for this, when I did the same survey at the Windsor Middle School, 6th to 8th grade students. And one of the aspects of this survey is that, so there was I got 117 total responses, so that's 117 students. And I got, in total, there was 463 quotes from, total quotes from the students. And as you can see there, the rationale is the same rationale as before, is to understand how 6th to 8th grade students at the Windsor Middle School handled and experienced in-person learning and the transition between distance learning. And also an important thing to note is that the survey is anonymous, and so no emails or no names were collected. And if we could go into the next slide, please. And so one of the questions that I asked students to rate their experience from 1 to 5, and 1 being in-person learning has been difficult for me, and 5 being in-person learning has been splendid for me. As you can see there, generally speaking, the students shifted more towards in-person learning being more favorable towards them. And you can see the decimal points in the specific percentage, but there was around, as you can see, a little bit over half of the students who did the survey were at a 4, and around a quarter at a 5, and around 20% are around at a 3. And for the students who selected 1 and 2, there's roughly a little under 5% total there. And if we could go to the next slide, please. And so as the responses generally ranged, and what I mean by this is that, as we saw in the last slide earlier, there were some students who felt that in-person learning was not great for them, but there are also quite a few students who feel that in-person learning is good for them. And so I got a couple of quotes here. And so in response to the question, what do you like and not like about having in-person learning? One student said, quote, "I like in-person learning because I can hang out with my friends," end quote. And another student said, quote, "I like having in-person learning because I can get better help with homework and see my friends. I don't like in-person learning because I have to wake up early and get bullied sometimes," end quote. And so as you can see there, even though that generally speaking, students favorite in-person learning, there are also students who have difficulties with having in-person learning. And so there's a little bit of contrast to that. And to the question, how was your transition between distance learning to in-person learning? Did you have any struggles? One student said, quote, "Yes, I struggled on turning work on time," end quote. And to the question, is school different for you now that we are doing in-person learning? If so, how? And one student said, quote, "School is different. I've been doing better now that I can focus and ask for help more," end quote. And if you could go to the next slide, please. And so just as to summarize, this what the purpose of this survey is to gain an idea of how Windsor Middle School students are doing, and I think that's very important. And also, thank you for your attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. I found that really helpful. I mean, I think it gives us a snapshot, and I think the quotes that you shared were helpful too. I'm definitely sorry to hear about the bullying, but now that we know, we can work harder to address it. So that's also important.
I don't know if any of you guys saw this the other day, but there was another school. I don't know if it was in California, but I just thought it was kind of cool. Kind of touched me that there was a young man. I think he was in 3rd or 4th grade or something like that, and some kids were bullying him at school. And so for like the next 2 weeks, the 2 big football players from the high school came over to the school, if I read it right, and they were walking this young man to all his classes and all around, and they didn't say anything, but the message came across pretty clear. And I just love stuff like that, because there's as a former wrestling coach, if I've learned anything, I've learned one thing: there's always somebody bigger, and there's always somebody better than you. And so I just like it when people that have been blessed share those blessings. And when I saw those 2 young football players walking that little kid, I just thought it was awesome. And so there are some things that we need to improve on as society, but people are improving on it one person at a time. And I just think it's important to mention that stuff too.
All right, moving on.
So, if we could, maybe it'll come up in a little bit when we do the report of the board, but Kai, you attended the conference in San Diego. Could you just give us a brief little bit about how you felt about that, if you met some peers at other schools and things?
Yes. Yeah. So at the California School Boards Association conference down in San Diego, I got to meet a whole bunch of other student board members across California, from Grove Unified School District all the way down to San Diego Unified School District. And when I went there, some of the ideas that I brought back, was a town hall sort of oriented meeting to where I could set up a Zoom meeting and I can have students come in and ask me or tell me anything that they're concerned about, or anything that they want me to know, or any questions that they have. And I'm in the process of just personally trying to figure all that out to try to see what the next step is. And one of the things that we also did during that meeting was discuss different ways to solve an issue that a school would have, like whether it's unmaintained facilities or trash or bullying, as an example. And we worked together, just having different minds of other student board members there definitely helped me gain a better idea on what this position is and what I can do as a student board member to better fulfill my role. Thank you.
Thanks, Kai. All right, so we have item 3.5, which is the superintendent's report, but is that going to be given as? Okay, so, well, we moved in, oh yeah, we kind of moved in and celebrating student success as one item, so I'm doing everything down. So that will be an item, this is a long agenda, but that'll be an item 6.1 then. Okay. So 3.6 is staff association reports. Do we have anything tonight from WDEA or CSEA? Okay, WDEA. Welcome.
Pete Stefanisco, WDEA President. Just want to let you know that on Friday, members are going to be wearing red in support of Rona Park Katati teachers who are having some difficulty with their negotiations. And just general, kind of solidarity with each other. But I wanted to clarify and made it clear to everybody, it has nothing to do with our negotiations and it's not a reaction to anything that is going on. Just in case you see a bunch of people in red, because we know a lot of districts are doing that. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Thanks. Right, board trustee report. I will just start it off. We went to the California School Board Association conference it wasn't last week, it was the week before last, I believe. Was it last week? December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I don't know when it was in time, but it was recent. It was in San Diego. I was told by one of our board members, if you ever travel with Stephanie, know that you don't have to plan anything because she will fill up all of your time. So I definitely kept everyone working hard who attended. We went to a lot of different sessions, did a lot of debriefing. So I think it was a very, very good use of time. I think we probably focused a little bit more on the financial side, kind of looking at different issues, and I'll let others comment more. So Bill went, Rich went, Kai went, and I thought, it was very productive. I think that's my main thing to report today. So I don't know if Bill wants to say anything about that. I don't hear him, so why don't you go ahead, Rich, if you have anything to add?
Two things. One is that yes, I was the one who said that about Stephanie, that she had us going somewhere constantly. It was pretty exciting for her. And we maximized every moment of that trip, learned a lot. There was a lot of things that were discussed and went through. And I think it was really valuable for the direction that the board is trying to go this next year. There was some refinements of things that were presented to us, and the different things we kind of split up, and we were going to different workshops and taking notes and what have you. And so that was pretty good. And so it was really a good event for us to go to. And I think that we'll see some good rewards from that coming down the pipe this next year. That was one. The other is this I'm kind of the liaison for Maddie Washburn. And so I just wanted to bring something up real quick. Yesterday we had a little issue at Maddie with some kids. Got a little bit wet, and there's some concerns about that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I just want to let everybody know that our district has really made some great leaps and bounds in the last 3 years. And every program is going to have a problem. It's just life. How you handle that problem and how you work on it is that's what really defines you. And I just want everyone to know that I'm really excited with how quickly an issue was brought up by a parent to us, and then how we asked the parent for some suggestions. The parent was happy to give the suggestions, and our administrative team jumped all over it and and implemented and is implementing things to make things better. I love that kind of response because we're going to have issues. It always will come up. It doesn't matter how many times you do a dry run. That's why people hire wedding planners, because they've done it a bunch and hopefully you've only done it once. And they just don't have the experience. So I just want to tip my hat to those in our district from top to bottom who saw an issue, took the time, the initiative to work on figuring out how to do things even better, and then relaying that message to the parents that that's what we're doing, is that as we identify, either we identify it, a parent identifies it, doesn't really matter who identifies it. The fact that we attacked it and went after improving it, I love that we're doing that. And so to those who really went after it, parents-wise, administration-wise, I appreciate that. Those are the subtle things that is what makes our district even more special than others might not notice from the outside. Thank you.
We don't normally take questions from the audience at this point in the meeting. I'm sorry. Okay. Board member reports. Anyone else have anything to report?
I would just make a mention that on my way from work to come here this afternoon, I came upon one of our Windsor Unified School District school buses, and I was very impressed with how they pulled over, had the kids moving, everybody stopped. The community is responding to having busing again, and we're proud that we're able to offer that to everybody. And then as I drove past, I gave a quick little honk to let them know that that was a great thing, and the driver raised their hand out the window and waved at me, all excited that they were recognized as well. They're glad to be at work, and we're glad to have them back at work. And so those of you that are out there seeing school buses, please respect their little stop signs and know that they're doing the best for our littles that are getting to and from, and that we are proud we're able to offer that again.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Okay. So we will move on to item 3.8, which is approval of the minutes from the November 9th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion approval of the November 9 school board minutes from Windsor Middle School.
All right, great. Do I have a second?
I'll second them.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, so I didn't hear Bill on that one, so I'll say 4-0-1 abstention. And then we will move on to our school board organization section. It is December, so we are reorganizing our leadership positions as we do year to year. Our process on this board is to rotate through every year the position of president and vice president. So our first one is election of president. So we will do that. And then I will no longer be president, so I'll say a few words and we'll welcome our new president. Do I have a motion for a new president?
I'll make a motion that Vice President Rich Carnation moves to be our school board president for the 22 school year.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous.
Is the nomination accepted?
We didn't ask that.
Is that a requirement?
Yeah, I think it would be good if you did.
Aye.
Okay, great. So unanimous. I'm also checking to see our other trustee who we have on the phone. Okay, so we have 4-0-1 abstention. So, I'll just say a few words now that I'm moving away from my president role. Do we need to do anything else before? Okay. I took on the role of vice president 2 years ago, just as we were about to enter the pandemic, and then was the president kind of the year where we're still in the pandemic, but figuring out how to come back in person. And I think it's just been such an unprecedented and challenging time. And I want to recognize all of our leaders and staff and everyone who have really rallied together, not only to respond to that crisis, which could have taken up 100% of the energy just because it's so fast moving and all encompassing, but also really using that time to think ahead about what we need to keep doing in our district to make sure that we're ready for the future and that we're ready to grow and expand and adapt. So I'm so excited about the things that are coming down the pipeline because I think we did work over the last couple of years that is really going to carry us forward in a positive way for probably 5-10 years. So it's been an honor serving. It's been an honor that I think everyone thinks I've done a pretty good job, or at least that's what I've been told. So yeah, it's just been very gratifying. And I will also enjoy just kind of chilling. So that's all I have to say. Do you have any
I'll
wor-
say thank you to Stephanie for your leadership, getting us through the rest of this COVID situation, or up till now. I started COVID when we came off of March or April of 2 years ago, and it was not an easy thing to transition to Zoom meetings and to not being in person and to not getting a chance to work together. And you've guided us through the rest of that and back into the realm we're in now, and that's much appreciated. And we all appreciate, at least I'll speak for myself, I definitely appreciate your leadership and your organization and how your demeanor has been at meetings, and we look forward to keeping you involved, of course. We'll give you lots of duties here in a little while, but we definitely appreciate this last year from you. Thank you.
I also wanted to say something. I wanted to say thank you so much, Stephanie, for your leadership. As you know, one of the newest board members, you have helped me to feel really welcome, and just really helped me to get up to speed, with everything that the board had been doing. So thank you so much for your effort and also for your leadership.
Thank you.
I'll also say something. I just want to say thank you. And when I first came on to start my term as a student board member earlier this year in August, I definitely that's when I first saw the type of leadership that you have and that the leadership that the school board has, and you have definitely contributed a lot as a president. So thank you.
Thanks, Kai.
By the way, my voice is getting a little hoarse before. And so I just want Stephanie to know that I have really enjoyed her being the president of our board. I think she's actually, it's just to take a quick step back. I remember when I first met her, when she was running for the board, we went down, had a hot chocolate and whatever. And I was so impressed right from the moment that I met her. And I was thinking, wow, she is really smart and she's really motivated and she's really organized. And I admire those traits. People always admire things about other people that aren't necessarily your thing. And I was really excited to man, this is going to be fun to be on the board with somebody like her. And this, starting with Eric and actually going all the way back to George, I really appreciate the fact that George always gave people time to talk, whether they were a presenter, a guest or whatever. And I like that because I hadn't seen that in other settings in government before. And then Eric, he jumps in as the president. And then we have this pandemic and we're doing Zooming and doing all these things. And it was amazing. And then Stephanie has just taken it even to another level to where we're right at the pinnacle. So that way I have nowhere to go but just down. So, so I appreciate you guys all raising the bar so high that I can actually just walk underneath it now. But Stephanie, no, truthfully, it's hard to remember how young you are sometimes because of how organized you are and how insightful that you have been in our deliberations, not only in public, but in our closed sessions. And I've really appreciated you being the president and you continuing to nudge me along into doing things that are uncomfortable for me to do. So I'm going to miss you as the president a lot. But I'm glad you're going to be here on the board with us still to continue to make the great contributions that you have.
Thank
So
you.
thanks.
Thanks to all of you. It's very touching. I guess this is where I hand it over and you are handling the next item. Aw,
We don't have a big gavel for you to swing, but.
Yeah, bam.
It's all good.
And then we can move seats
Do we-
after we do the next
Are we gonna
one?
move seats or not? Okay.
Okay.
Since I'm president now.
Yeah.
I get to do things the way I want to do it. So
Moving right along.
I want to, be careful what you guys wish for. I would like to kind of sit in the middle as a president. The reason why is because right now, until we can figure out how to have the board kind of where we work together, this is kind of what we have to work with. This way, for me, it's easier for me to see side to side of who wants to say something or whatever. It would be easier for me. So I don't mind, if you guys don't mind, if we set it up that way. If that's pretty good for you guys.
You can be right in my spot here.
You want me to leave my snacks here, huh?
They're close enough anyway.
Do we actually have to move? Because now I got to unplug all this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
All right, we got to
So we're
unplug a
gonna
bunch of
take,
stuff.
why don't we take
Can
a
we take
recess for
A
about
5-minute break.
2 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, and we're gonna move around and take a,
You got
We'll
the
be
chair
back.
warmed up for me, or should we switch chairs?
No, we're switching chairs. I got
Okay.
this the right height.
Let's see if I can get this on here with the bags.
Hey, Bill, checking in with you. You there?
He said he had a hard time hearing.
Okay, well, you're up next, but we're taking a little break, and then I imagine you'll be nominated or something.
I asked him if he would accept.
Okay. Couple minutes.
Definitely, I don't know if there's any way, I don't want to care what I'll be assigned to on the liaison, because I won't have the list.
Yeah, it's Mr.
Is there anything he wants to request?
Okay, well, we'll try to.
Oh, yes, need to have the other one there. Take that out for now. Well, that's next. It will likely be Bill. I don't think his placard is even here, so.
All right, everybody. Got about one minute left. This thing's not even on.
They can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? You can't hear? All right, everybody. If we can bring it back to the
Get Jeremy back in his chair, will you?
speed of the leader, speed of the team. I can't hear it. There we go. It's getting better. All right, folks, we got 30 seconds before we have a hard commercial break. Kellogg's is sponsoring this tonight's meeting. No, actually, we've got quite a bit we got to get through, and I don't need any help being distracted. Thanks, everybody. Is there anything that anybody else needs to take care of or say or do anything with regard to 4.1? All right, I forgot a quick note. 3 years ago tonight, Steph, well, I don't know if it's exactly tonight, but about 3 years ago at this meeting, Steffi, Eric, and we were all sworn in. And one of the big concerns I had about running for the school board, which I didn't want to do, was that I might actually, that I'm in the construction business, and I was concerned that I might use a construction term from the microphone up here, and I didn't want to embarrass the school district or whatever. So I put together a little bottle, a half-gallon Kerr bottle, for those of you who don't know, and it just said that I swear, if I swear, I will donate $50 to Heather's music program. So far in public, I haven't, from this microphone, had any mistakes. And so I donated $200 to Heather's music program after the end of our first year because I didn't want the kids to suffer because I was being good. And so I just donated $200 to Heather's music program again for another good year of being good from this microphone. I'm clarifying this microphone. And so anyhow, so hopefully this will be something that just continues to go on. But so the kids are getting their money when I'm being good as well. But I appreciate everybody keeping things level so that way we don't happen. Also to Superintendent Decker, I just want you to know I did order a Christmas gift for you. It was a pair of running shoes that, just like most everybody else's Christmas presents that they ordered, they haven't shown up yet. So anyhow, we do have a pair because we plan on running the daylights out of you this next year. So I wanted you to have a nice pair of air gel shoes to cushion the load. Anyhow, but thank you. If we can go to section 4.2, election of a vice president. Do we have any nominations?
I'll make a nomination to recommend Bill Adams as vice president for the 2022 school year.
I will second that motion, that nomination. Bill, do you accept?
I do accept. Thank you very much, school district family.
All right.
All righty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a vote? All those in favor of Bill Adams being our vice president of the school board for the next year, please say aye.
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 Aye. It looks like we have 5-0, and our even Kai voted for you, Bill. So we're good. We have 5-0. Great.
Congratulations, Bill.
Ask Bill if he wants. Does he want to say anything? Or?
You want to say anything?
No, I think we should move on.
Okay.
Okay. Moving to section 4.3, selection of board representatives and alternative representatives to the County Committee on School District Organizations. I've got these right here. Do we need to, I'm not sure, do we need to vote to, as you being the secretary, Jeremy, or you automatically are? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that Superintendent Jeremy Decker continue on as our secretary for the board for the 2022 school year.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. Let's go, do we want to just work our way down these?
Let's just go down the
Yeah.
list here.
All right, so we're gonna go to the next one. If anybody has an interest in any of these things as we go through, sometimes we might be interested in some, and we might horse trade around a little bit because some might be something you're kind of interested in, whatever. And anyhow, on the policy subcommittee, Eric and Stephanie have been the two assigned last year. Would you guys like to continue that? Is there somebody else that's interested in those?
Do we need to do 4.3 first? I'm just wondering if, like, that's the county committee on school district organization. I think it's
Good.
up towards the
On
bottom
the
and
bottom
it's,
of
Got
the
it.
list.
it's Rich and Bill. I haven't been on it before. I would do it if someone wants to step away from that.
I'm okay with stepping off.
Okay, does
there you
anyone
go.
else want to do it with me?
I'll stay on it with you then.
You'll stay on it?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Well, I mean, is anybody else interested in that?
It's fine.
Okay.
okay.
So do we need to make a motion on each one of these?
I think just for
one we
4.3,
do.
we do.
Okay, so I have a motion, I need a motion for Rich Carnation and Stephanie Maud to be the representatives for the County Committee on School District Representatives.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. There's going to be a lot of times, public, during the year when my trusted board colleagues are going to help me with the agenda and how we're supposed to be doing these things, and so I appreciate their help. Let's go to 4.4, board subcommittees, 4.51 facilities, and 4.5.2 policy.
So
Is-
I know that Bill wants to stay on facilities.
I likewise am interested in that.
Okay, I'm happy to stay on policy. Eric, you're also on it. Like if Molinari, if you wanted to try policy, you're welcome. Okay, no, all right.
We didn't really have much opportunity with COVID
Yeah,
to do that.
it's
We have a
really-
lot of catching up to do.
We have some
so
catching
I
up,
don't mind it.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we keep that as is?
So do we have a motion to keep the facilities and policy subcommittees as they're presently constituted?
I'll move.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor, do we have to vote on each one or
I think together.
can we do? well, it's
4.4 together.
4.4, so we can do it together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, second. All those in favor to approve 4.4 for these two subcommittees as constituted, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? No opposed, so that passes 5-0. All right, let me write those in there. And Jen, you're taking great notes, right? Beautiful. Then let's see. Now we're going to go to 4.5, board community liaisons, Windsor High School Boosters, Town Council, Wellness Partnership, Cali, and we'll just go down through these as we, so Windsor High School Boosters, Bill has been the liaison this last year. Bill want to continue on?
So
Eric?
what he told me was that we could just put him wherever we want him to go, so we can kind of discuss it,
Got it.
and then we can kind of choose for him.
Sure. Okay, is anybody interested in doing the boosters that would like to jump in there instead of Bill? Right now.
I've done that several times. I can do it again if nobody's interested otherwise, but
Okay,
Yeah, or I can do it. I've never done it
There
before,
you go.
so it would be a new experience.
once a month meeting for an hour or two.
Yeah,
okay, so
I will do
Stephanie's going
it.
to jump in there. Okay, so we're going to make all these changes, and then we'll vote on it at once. The Town Council, let's see, that's the next one, right? Yep, Town Council. I'm the liaison now. I'm happy to stay there. We've got a lot of things that were going on between the school district and the town. Is anybody else interested in jumping in there?
for town council, anyone?
I think you're the best person.
Okay. I'm happy to stay there. Town council may not be, but I am.
All
Um,
right.
Okay, Windsor Wellness Partnership. Eric's been serving this last year.
Yeah, it's difficult for me because the timing of their meetings is usually right at the end of my workday, and I can't often make their meetings. So if somebody else would like to meet with them every couple weeks or maybe once a month, something like that on Zoom lately, but hopefully in person.
Okay.
It's just tough for me. I can't often attend, so.
Um, Mal or anybody else?
I can swap that with you, Eric.
Okay. Bill said that he'd jump in there.
Okay.
So let's put Bill Adams. Hey, Bill, can you hear us better now? I know you were.
I can hear a little better. I said, Eric, I'd swap that one with you.
Okay.
Perfect. We got it.
Got it.
All right.
Callie, PTA, Stephanie has served us last year. Is anybody interested in that position right now?
That's also a morning meeting, right?
It
Quite
has
often.
recently been evenings.
Okay.
But I think it shifts around. So
Do you know what the
7:00 at night,
7 at night? Do you know what night it is
Mondays.
on Monday nights?
and I
Okay.
have to say I haven't been particularly good about attending recently. Just confessing publicly.
Actually, this last year's strained everybody's ability to meet and whatever. That's
Do you be
why.
interested in that one, Molinoli?
There's actually a couple others that I'm interested in.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well, I can do that one again, and especially since I still have a child there. And
Do you
can-
want to switch and do the Cowie leadership and I'll do the PTA?
Sure,
I haven't met with the PTA before, so I'll
that
do
sounds
that.
good.
Okay. Is that good with everybody? All right. So let's go. So Stephanie, you're going to the leadership.
Mhm.
And Eric's
Unless that
gonna
was
go-
one that Malinelli wanted. I
Yeah.
didn't ask, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No. Okay. All right. That's good. And then let's see. Then we got the Windsor.
The We Foundation.
Then, well, actually, the We's on the paper, but it has Windsor Middle School, the high school, Oaks, North Bay Met is under this motion. Is that right? No, wait a minute.
No, finish the section.
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
the
Yep,
community.
you're right. Okay, so Windsor Ed Foundation is Bill currently this last year. Is anybody interested in taking on that role?
I'll do that one.
Okay. So Melanie. And then we have the WHAM.
Windsor Advocates of Music.
Yep. Anybody interested in that one? Eric's been doing it this last year.
Yeah, we met early in the year, but haven't really done so since, but I don't know that it's an active group right now, so.
I'm not sure.
I
Do-
can
do you
stay
wanna
on
stay
that,
on
and
that as a-
if they spark it up again, I'll be involved, sure.
Okay. Okay, so that,
And I think we have to jump down
We can
and
make
do
a motion on
LCAP
all of
and
those, or
do,
do
well, I
we?
think LCAP.
Then we have
and
to do
DLAC
LCAP
Oh,
and
there's some more
DLAC.
down there, yeah.
Yeah.
it said what, LCAP?
Did you want to stay on the,
I'd like to stay on DLAC,
okay.
Okay, so Melanie would like to stay there.
and I'd like to trade with somebody if somebody else wants to do LCAP.
And then LCAP, is it anybody that's interested in?
Have you done LCAP before?
No, that's what I was thinking about, possibly
I
jumping
would
on
do
there.
it. I would do it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna jump on that.
It's important to be involved in that one.
And then Jen, if you could help me at, it has a little and ... Was there something that's? Okay, so that for this motion.
Maybe while we're there, we can do the ad hoc, and then otherwise we only have the school liaisons left.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and then the North of Arad ad hoc. Myself and Bill have been doing that. I think that Bill and I should, I haven't talked to Bill about it, but we're kind of working on some things right now that I think would be kind of a little tough to bring other folks up to speed right away. And I think it would be good if Bill and I both stayed on that.
I'm good
Committee.
with continuity on that.
Yeah, if that's okay with everybody.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll just stay over there.
So we can vote on all of those.
Yeah. So if I can have a motion for 4.5, the board community liaisons, as we have made these adjustments, and Jen is taking great notes doing. If we can have a motion for that, that'd be great.
So moved.
All right, and then can I have a second?
I'll make the second, yeah.
All right, so Mal and I made the first, Eric seconded it. Can all those in favor signify? Say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes. 5-0. Wait a minute.
Did Bill get on that?
I
one?
didn't hear Bill. So for, oh, yep.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Bill.
It's 5-0 and student advisor also voted yes. And then let's go to,
Okay.
is he leaving?
Was that for us? Okay.
Okay, hello?
Yeah, are you heading out, Bill?
No, I'm sorry, that was,
Okay.
Oh,
but that was just finished.
Okay, great.
Full attention now.
I know.
Oh, my God.
okay, so 4.6, the school site liaisons. We have Maddie Washburn. We have Brooks, Maddie, Callie, Windsor Middle, Windsor High, Windsor Oaks, and North Bay Met. And so let's just go down. So we have, with Brooks Elementary, it has been Stephanie this last year. Does anybody want to jump in on Brooks, or Stephanie, you want to continue there?
Why don't you choose a school, Stephanie, and we'll go down the
Oh.
line
Yes,
from there.
as
that's
the
a
outgoing
hard choice.
president, you
I
get
just
your
think we
pick.
should switch around.
Yeah.
No heart, nothing against Brooks at all. Maybe
would
I'll,
you like?
Maddie Washburn, I haven't done. Let me do Maddie.
Okay, so Stephanie's going Maddie.
Maybe Mo and I could go next. Ladies first.
Sure. Mal, do you have a preference?
So I'm happy to either stay with Windsor High School or move to North Bay Academy. Or I'm sorry, North Bay Met Academy.
Okay. Whichever you would prefer.
I think because I don't know as much about North Bay Met Academy, I'll just move there.
Good
Isn't
idea.
Good. You're going to love it.
Good to know.
We'll get Bill next.
Okay.
Bill, do you have a preference?
Brooks, Callie, or the high school?
Yeah, I'm
Middle
going to go
school.
back to the high school.
Okay, so let's see.
Unless you want to, Eric, you
That's fine. Go ahead. I'll take whatever we got left over.
Windsor High School, so it's
I'll do the
Bill.
high school then.
Okay, then we have Windsor Middle School and we have Callie on the left. Eric, you have a preference?
I've got a nephew at Callie. How about if I take Callie this year?
Okay, so
And I think we
Okay.
have Brooks too.
Brooks and the middle
and
school.
the
We
middle
can
school.
Double up.
gotcha. So
Do
we
you
have,
have one you'd like to do, Rich, between Brooks or the middle school?
I got to be honest with you. I have missed Amy since she left the high school, so she draw the short straw and I'm going to come visit with Amy. If that's okay.
Obviously, we've saved the best for last. So who is going to take Brooks?
I'll take Brooks too.
Okay.
I have a really handsome
the-
9-year-old grandson who goes to Brooks. And I'd love to be able to sneak in his classroom and surprise him with, where's your homework? So,
If you go over and eat lunch, Grandpa.
is that okay with everybody for me to take
think
Brooks?
we're good.
Absolutely.
All
We
right.
can vote on this,
Absolutely.
Okay, so that would be 4.6. So can I have a motion to approve 4.6 of the school site liaisons as we have?
I will so move, so I'm on record.
Okay, so Bill made a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, Malinelli, she beat you to that. She's the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? None. So that passes 5-0. And with the school, with Kai voting yes also. All right, so now we need to go to 4.7, board meeting dates. Let me see, where is that?
So we have a printout.
Yeah, we got a separate one here.
Okay, I know I put it somewhere.
And it looks like our meetings are now going to be on the third Thursday of the month,
Okay,
which,
so we're moving around some dates. We're gonna try that this next year, see how that works for everybody. Is this gonna get posted? Does this normally get posted on our website
After we approve it.
after we approve it? Okay, so do we need a motion or is this a resolution issue? Just a motion? All righty, can I have a motion to approve moving our dates? Actually, these dates is on this agenda.
I make motion to approve the dates as listed on our supplemental paper.
All right, can I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second, and I'm sorry, Melly, and I want to thank my colleagues for their accommodations too.
Yep. Okay, so Bill seconded it. Or did you second that?
No, he
Oh, okay, so Bill seconded it. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So good. Motion passes 5-0. And with Kai voting also, yes. You can actually have it. There you go. I have one somewhere. I just can't remember where to put it. All righty, so I asked
I think
him.
he's gonna
I
do
think he said
it.
he's gonna try
You're
it.
gonna do consent, right?
So,
I can try. It might be clearer if you try and do it, Stephanie, as an outgoing thing. I know Rich said he was going to abstain from 513.
right.
I can
Perfect.
certainly do it if you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we're
Can you hear me okay?
I think we can hear you.
Okay, well then, President Carnation, I will make a motion to approve the consent items listed in number 5. That's numbers 5.1 through 5.16. I understand Trustee Carnation is going to abstain from 513, so we'll have a separate vote for that one after we do all those consent items. So I would move that we approve them, and I think at this point, are there any questions or comments by board members?
No, I don't see any, and I'll make the second motion.
Okay.
And does our public comment in 3.2 include consent items as well? Or do we have public comment separately on consent items?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
I never asked this last year.
Okay.
Do
Well,
we-
hearing none, let's go ahead and go to a vote then.
All
But I
right.
think we might want to look at that. I think it's included in the regular public comment. Okay, so all those in favor of 5.1 to 5.16, accepting 5.13?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes 5-0. And now for item 5.13 that President Carnation is abstaining from, all those in favor of consent item 5.13?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need
Aye,
a separate
okay,
motion for that again?
And we'll use the same motion. I
I
think we're,
think we can recycle motion number 1, yeah?
absolutely.
Okay, and that'll pass again on a 4-0-1. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Carnation, back to you.
All right, thank you all. All right, we're going to be moving to 5.15. I'm sorry, no, 6.1 COVID-19 superintendent update. Superintendent Decker. By the way, we're going to still stay with our using first names informality, correct? Okay, good. Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Call me Jeremy.
Well, I don't, well, I meant for all of us is what I meant.
Got it.
But you're two.
So at our last meeting, we discussed our plan to revisit masking specifically in January. So really, this is just an update of our numbers. I know that you guys were interested in seeing how the holidays affected our numbers, and they have affected us. So I'll let Pete really speak about the particulars, but our modified quarantines are significantly up. Just to give you an example, the week of 11/15, we had 14 district-wide. Week of 12/6, we have 247 modified quarantines. And that's because we simply have students who have, tested positive. So we have had to put a lot of class members on modified quarantine. We have 18 positive cases for the week of 12/6. So it'll be interesting. It's directly correlated to kind of Thanksgiving break. So we'll see, how winter break affects this. Pete, is there anything I'm missing on this that's significant?
I think just looking at the overall averages from the very beginning of the year. I think what is significant is the overall averages from the beginning of the year are actually down. So we started the year off for 6 weeks. We were looking at an average of 8.7, 8.4. We're actually now at 7.9%, even though we had an increased volume over the last couple of weeks. And we're anticipating it again. It's still, I think we are at 7 cases right now on Tuesday. And I know there's some more in the queue. I just haven't checked all the numbers coming in. But so we're anticipating another large week this week. And then also kind of just interesting is that our overall site numbers percentages aren't really changing much at all either. They're still stable in terms of overall percentage based on number of students on our campuses. So our plans, such as they are, our protocols are stable. And so the things that we're doing, the masking policies that we have in place, and some of the other things are currently working and keeping everything more or less as it is, even though we do have a tendency to kind of go up and down. Questions?
Just maybe it's not the perfect time for the question, but I'll ask it. Do we know what percentage or how many students in the younger ages, 5 through 11, have taken advantage of available vaccines? And is it a similar number that we have to our older students?
We know
Percentage.
countywide. I don't know if we know in district. Countywide, it's 27% have received the first shot. I don't think we have district numbers. Do we, Pete?
I don't have specific, I have just kind of anecdotally, just from being at the clinics for the past few weeks. Our first 2 weeks of clinic numbers, our pediatric doses were like 57, 56, the first clinic, and then the second clinic, they were over 100. So I don't know if all of those kids are our district. We are serving a larger community with these clinics, but that's just numbers that I've seen come in from the clinics that we have had.
I'd just like to applaud the district and you individually, and as well as Heather and others involved, for allowing those and making them available to our community. It's very convenient for people to come to a school that they're familiar with, or many are familiar with, to be able to receive that and to have it locally and not have to go to Santa Rosa or Petaluma or somewhere. It's a great benefit to our community if they choose to take advantage of that.
Thank you. And just so everybody knows, the 17th, so this Friday, 2 to 5 at Cali. If you are interested in a booster, first shot, second shots, pediatric dose is also available. And then the final is on the 7th, January 7th.
Do those get posted on our website?
They are posted, yes.
Great, thank you.
And it was in that fantastic video update that I know you all love.
I like the holiday decoration.
That was for you, Eric. You're welcome.
Before you leave, I just want to say thank you for a fantastic job. So I've seen your work firsthand, and I just really think that you're doing great. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other thing?
Thank you.
You should have worn the jacket with all your lights on.
Is there anything else?
I will say this, we don't have any more information on the mandate with regard to 5 to 11-year-olds. So there's just, I know everybody's wondering if that's going to happen. We simply don't know. So just to let you guys know, I'm sure you're getting questions. It's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, and then didn't we get, and I'm sorry, I was so busy today, I didn't get a chance to follow up on this, but I believe I heard at a construction meeting I was at yesterday.
Yeah,
that,
I know what you're going to bring up.
Masking is going to be state mandated.
Until January 15th.
And so that is for sure.
It is. Dr. Mace has stated that she's unsure if our local ability to unmask if everybody's vaccinated and is close to the public is still allowed. So she said she's not sure. So we're not sure, obviously. But yeah, that is going into effect.
So a little more guidance may come.
I would imagine so. And Pete, you probably know more than I do on this subject, but all I know is what I just said.
The new mandate?
Yeah.
That's all that's on even the the California Department of Health website. It's literally a sentence long that gives you a date, the parameters under which we are. It's public spaces. That's all I know. So it doesn't look like from like the cursory glance that I gave it that it applies to private businesses, but it's definitely public spaces from that time period.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Pete. Thank you, Jeremy. Now we're going to go to 6.2 Windsor High School Athletics. We had the presentation of the success for our football and volleyball team earlier. And this will be presented by Brian Williams, our high school principal.
All right. Good evening, Board President Carnation, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Decker, and Cabinet. And hoping a presentation is going to pop up there. There it goes. All right. So here we go. We did the best part already, and that was introducing our athletes. So let's jump right into it. So going back to do our 2020-21 review, there were no pennants or playoffs. We did limited spectators. We did not charge anything for gate, and all of the sports were played in 3 months. We did not do anything with CIF waivers or enforce anything with club or grades. And this caused athletes to have to choose between sports since they were all happening at the same time. You couldn't spread them out over seasons. So we did have some limited participation because everyone only got to play one thing. We did girls soccer, volleyball, basketball, softball, boys golf, track. We didn't do any fundraisers, and a lot of the sports were funded through our ESSER funds. And we did a virtual picture day and yearbook. We did hire some new coaches, Paul, Ralph, Christian, Matthew, and Jordan, and we are now right back at it. We did have our 2020-21 Student Athletes of the Year. We picked Trent Matthews from football and baseball, Carmen Perez, she's a North Bay Met wrestler, Landon McAllister for cross country and track, and Natalie Johnson for cross country, basketball, softball, and track. And then we enjoyed our Windsor community support, so a month of no in-person school, but we were out playing sports. That handsome gentleman right there is Paul Cronin. Welcome to our campus. So he is one of our new on-campus coaches and has been impacting our programs greatly and changed the culture of campus, bring longevity and connectivity to the classroom. And so reasons to continue to financially support our athletics would be retaining our coaches. We need competitive salary and stipends, support staff to the athletic department, secretaries, equipment, admin, gate workers, safe environments for students who attend those events. And this is your Title IX report. So the COVID impact is that we did have an 8% drop last year in the numbers, and because students had to choose if there was a multi-sport athlete and there was an in-person impact on participation. And so board, you can see those numbers. And so that is not an unduplicated count. So some of those athletes are participating in multiple sports. So we did do a focus on hiring female coaches, supporting underrepresented populations equally, creating athletic sustainable budget of essentials, establishing fundraisers for community to give, and create more opportunities for staff to connect. And pictured is one of our Jaguars, Emma Corcoran, signing to go to UCSB for women's soccer. We did make it to state playoffs. So in volleyball, hosted 2 NCS playoffs and competed in the state playoffs. So congratulations to those athletes that you met, Sophia Lopez and Dea Moscato. They were also All-American athletes. In football, we had Division III NCS champions, and we hosted the state semis. Things they don't tell you when you become a successful football principal is that you don't get Thanksgiving break off. No, it's all football. So we had tremendous community support. And so we want to, the list of businesses and families who want to support our athletic program is long, but they're volunteering their time and donating their money with equipment, dinners, video film, swag, and opportunities. So we love our Windsor High School partners. And there's some pictures. And so Windsor Middle School Athletics. So Mrs. Williams is also the athletic director for the middle school. So they're back. They have new uniforms with the new branding. And they have a new policy to get the adjunct help and secretary help. They are in desperate need of coaches. Oftentimes the coaches are parents, and when the kids promote out, the coaches leave. And so if you know anyone who wants to coach middle school sports, we are definitely in need of coaches there. All right, so thank you, board, for your focus on athletics, the district administrative team for your support, of course, maintenance and operations for tireless efforts, the Windsor High School staff and students for your spirit, Windsor community for your patience, enthusiasm, and generosity that makes Windsor High a place for student athletes to grow and create memories. Go Jags. Are there any questions?
Yeah, don't go anywhere yet. So
I have a comment.
Okay.
I just want to say wonderful presentation, and I especially love your focus on underrepresented groups. So I really want to applaud you for that. So thank you for doing that work.
Thank you.
I'll just recognize the great work that all of you are doing. I have my hands in all of this as well. And I know the effort it takes and the long hours that it takes and the amount of stress involved, working with adults involved, more so than the kids involved. So it's oftentimes a thankless job when everything goes perfectly. You only hear about the negatives that come up once in a while, but I myself, and I think I talk for most of the board, do appreciate the hard work that goes in behind the scenes and the amount of appreciation that the kids get from this and the memories they're making will be a lifetime long, much more often than it is in the classroom or in their clubs that they're belonging to. They'll always have these friends and these connections to athletics, and we're proud to offer what we do. And thank you for all your work.
Thank you. And Athletic Director Williams is not here, but I can personally attest that she's often out until 9 and 10 o'clock at night supervising events, and then is up to ready to have a athletics meeting at 5:30 in the morning and get it ready going for the next day. So I want to say thank you to her. She does a fantastic job, and I would be saying that even if I wasn't married to her.
I'll keep it brief. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, one of the hard parts about being the board president is I actually have to try and make sure everybody else gets a chance to talk first, which is going to be a year-long challenge. Thank you for the presentation. It was great. Just a couple of things. One is I want to just, even though we recognize the different coaches and stuff, I want to specifically say something about Jordan Biemeyer. Man, when I went to that football game, the cheerleaders were it was end zone to end zone of cheerleaders looking great in those uniforms, and they were the timing of all their different routines and stuff. It was amazing. It was 2/3 of my quarter of a decade, not a decade, quarter of a century dream to have all these cheerleaders cheering, all these people in the stands cheering. Our football program doing great. The only thing we got to, good, better, best, right? Now we just got to get our marching band out there. We get our marching band out there, this is going to be, then I can die. It's going to be perfect. And so, but Jordan, I just want to, she did an amazing job. And I think sometimes it gets missed how much effort that they put in as well. And so that was just a big appreciation to Jordan and her work with her coaches as well. I'm glad to see that COVID's over now, so we can get back to the multi-sports. I love the fact that Windsor encourages multi-sport athletes. Very few of these kids are going to go pro, but all of them are going to have memories that last a lifetime. And every time they get an opportunity to play a different sport, it's just another memory that they get to create at a great place. That's really good. And lastly, yes, you married a winner. Jamie is one of the hardest working people I know. But the thing I told her a couple years ago when I first met her, no matter how hard she works and all these other things, the thing I appreciate about Jamie the most is she always has a smile on her face. And it matters to kids, because sometimes a lot of kids, they come to school with different challenges every day. And when they meet her and she smiles, it changes the trajectory of this kid's day. And so that's the thing I admire and I appreciate about Jamie, our athletic director, the most, who you happen to get lucky and marry, is that she's always smiling and she's always got a great attitude that really translates to the kids and makes their experience wonderful. And I really appreciate that. And it translates into all of our athletics that we're doing as well. So please pass on our continued appreciation.
I'm sure we'll be watching it together on YouTube after this. Thank you, Rich.
All right.
She'll critique your work as well.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
All righty.
Comments from the public?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to open this up for public comment on 6.2 Windsor High School athletics, if anybody's got something to say.
I just want to continue on the how awesome Jamie is bandwagon, and just thank Brian for supporting a full-time athletic director this year, and hopefully for years to come. It makes such a huge difference to be on a campus where someone is dedicated to run what is a massive undertaking and program. And to see it blossom under her leadership has been phenomenal. I came in and I struggled, and as the wave was about to crash on me, she saved me, and we kind of cobbled it together for a couple of years. But to watch what she's done this year, given the opportunity to work full-time as an athletic director, has been phenomenal, and I hope it's something that we can continue in our district.
Thank you, Pete. Any other comments? All right, thank you. Anything amongst the board? Do we need to finish up? Already, great. Thanks again, Brian. All right, we're going to go to 7 point, nope, we're going to move. So we have 7.4 is moving up, right? Okay, so 7.4, we're going to move that up. And this is school plans for student achievement for Brooks Elementary, Windsor Middle School, Windsor High School, North Bay Met, Windsor Oaks Academy. And this is going to be presented by Lisa Saxon, the Director of Education.
Thanks, Rich. So we are going to be short, sweet, and to the point tonight because we have 5 school plans to present to you. So first up tonight is Annette Zucconi from Brooks Elementary.
Good evening. Congratulations, President Carnation, Board of Trustees. It's really good to see you in person in Cabinet. How far we've come in 12 months. I was just thinking, I know I only have 5 minutes, Lisa. I'm feeling it though. 12 months ago, I was sitting in my dark office across town on a very silent, quiet campus. Hadn't seen kids since March prior. It was a hard time for all of us, and I had to present to you my goals for the year, not really knowing what was coming, if we would ever get back to in person. So I'm really excited to say, you know, while we were all full of concern, the Brooks staff and the Brooks team pulled it out, and we met our goals, or partially met, and our kids are doing well. The first slide. So we have a new half of our school site council is new. We still have an unfilled position in classified, and I'm currently recruiting for that for our next meeting. Our goals last year included 1 for language arts, 1 for mathematics, not language arts, reading, and mathematics, social emotional learning, and for, of course, our English language learners. We met our goals despite having 3 different versions of school last year: distance learning, hybrid, and in-person part day. And so we're pretty proud to see that 7% less of our students were falling into the at-risk level of 2 grade levels or more below. In mathematics, we were happy to see 3% less in that very low tier, and 7% more students achieved grade level. It's not very hard at the elementary level to understand and know our students because we have 1 to 22 or 1 to 30 ratio of kids. It's a little harder at the higher levels, but we're happy to report that, as expected, our students are well known by at least 1 adult on campus, and very often more than 1. Our English learners, we only partially met our goal. That was a very tough group to support last year on Zoom during distance learning. We worked really hard at placing additional supports so that we could engage families, engage students, and they were able to make growth, 2.12% growth from the baseline at the beginning of the year. So our goals and our strategies for the year were fairly successful. Even via Zoom, we were able to provide professional development for our teachers, supporting their understanding of the iReady universal screener that we use. We did 2 project-based learning Zoom trainings where we as a team decided if this is a project that we wanted to continue, and they did overwhelmingly. We also were able to continue work with our teachers on special assignment. They were critical to helping us adapt and modify and make it work during Zoom. And then we also were able to, even though we had a very shortened schedule of time live with students, we prioritized social emotional component and made sure that responsive classroom methodology and strategies were embedded in our master schedule to make sure we were making connections with students. All right, so our goals for this year, we are continuing with reading, mathematics, social emotional, as well as English language learner goals. We are hoping to have 7% or more students occupying Tier 1, which is students at grade level. Right now in reading, we have right now in reading, we have 34%, and we're shooting for 41 or much higher. In mathematics, currently, we have 14% achieving grade level, and we're shooting for 21% or higher. Again, in April, we expect that our students are known by our teachers, their personal stories, their academic standing, the people that are important to them, what they care about, and we work towards more than one person, of course. And then again, we're going to set a goal for our English language learners to demonstrate an average increase of 3% from their baseline to their end of year score in May. That's all I have to present. Do you have any questions?
So as usual, I have a comment. And what I wanted to say is I've witnessed firsthand, your meetings with your parents at the ELAC meetings. And I just want to say it was so wonderful to see the level of engagement that you've been able to create. So it's an instant feeling of being seen and heard. So I just really want to applaud you for that.
Anybody else?
Just want to say great job. Looks like you have good goals coming up. It's been really great being the liaison to Brooks. I've done it a couple times in this term, which is interesting. I did it my first year and last year. So I wish I had been able to spend more time with you. It's been kind of a wild time. Yeah, well, I'll come and visit.
Thank you.
Rich, come visit. I'm happy to host you and walk you around. We have a fabulous, robust winter garden happening right now, and we have a fantastic playground, lots of balls and playground stencils, so I'm sure you'll have fun. Come visit.
Great. Look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn it back to Lisa.
All right, next up is Amy Ziegler, Principal of Windsor Middle School.
Good evening. Can you hear loud enough? Okay, thank you. Thank you. This first slide shows our site council membership, and following my name, the three names are our parent members, and I'm really pleased they've joined site council. They are all new to site council. They all have their oldest child at the middle school, and we're looking forward to bringing them along with site council and having them involved for a number of years within the district. The next two are our teachers, and Danielle Carlson is our student ASB president, and you can see a couple of vacancies. The next three slides, I'll go through next. And so Lisa, go ahead, next slide. Oh. Okay, thank you. Great. So this slide shows last year's goals. So I'd like to thank Brian Williams for his support in helping feed me some of the information that I didn't know about the school or about their goals, and some of the measurements that we were able to do. There was a 95% participation rate goal for iReady assessment. There were no SBAC tests or anything, so this was a good measurement of what we could attain and have students participate in. And setting a 95% participation rate seems like a stretch with the distance learning, but it was actually exceeded in spring when we had hybrid learning back. And each grade met or exceeded their match. The goal was to match so that the students didn't lose ground. And every one of the areas actually saw an increase. For math in reading and the math for sixth grade, it was 9 and 10% increase. So the second goal was in regards to English language learners. Again, we were tracking on iReady. which actually doesn't track by English learner. So we had to actually pull out the information by hand. So we did look at the measurement that was set was 27 points, which is the equivalent of 1 year grade level gain. Because some of the bands in iReady describe 3 or more grade levels behind or at grade level or above. So we wanted to actually look at the scale scores and see what the specific growth was. The challenge in this goal was that a number of the students did not actually take the baseline and the year-end assessment, so we didn't have a start and a finish to measure their growth. But we were able to determine that 20% of them did show 1 or more grade level gains, which is good based on the fact that we were in distance learning and hybrid learning for that whole year. And then reducing the number of DNF grades in math and language arts. And so we did experience fewer grades, DNF grades in those subjects. Wasn't quite to the target levels, but every one of the measurements did show a decrease in DNF grades. So implementing the plan, as you can see, there's some of it was met, some of it was not accomplished. As this is kind of blended with some of the information I just presented and a little more of the data in these. So, Brian, thank you very much for your help because you were at the school site. I'm new to the school site this year. So Brian was able to give me information on some of the strategies and activities that were implemented. And as you can see again, distance learning kind of held back some of that. From what we very proud of our bilingual, our staff and the EL staff, awesome. And on goal 3, I just want to highlight that there were a number of efforts made on behalf of our teachers or from our teachers, by our teachers, in that many of them adopted new grading structures that really began to reflect what students are really capable of doing. And so they changed their grading structure to a 50% floor. SST meetings were held, IEP and 504 meetings held on Zoom. So we continued to support our students and really discuss the students. So again, thanks, Brian, for helping out with this. And then looking forward, so for this school year, we're continuing some of these goals. We still struggle with what measurement, the metric we're going to use because we don't have SBAC since 2019. So having objective measurements. So we are continuing to use iReady, and we want to increase the number of students that are at or above grade level. And our baseline was window 1. So that actually is the first number, 36% and 28% respectively, are the baseline from our fall assessment this year. So we have some growth to try to move students to being at or above grade level. The second goal continues to be with our English language learners, demonstrating a year of growth. And so right now, we do see that iReady has English learner demographics in it. We're working to make sure that we can pull that out. If not by the end of the year, we'll be doing it manually again. But it's really important for us to see that our English learners are having that academic growth. And reducing the number of DNFs, again, you'll see that the baseline is our actual number. We have our Q1 marks already in place. And so the baseline number is set. And we want to reduce the number of Ds and Fs. I will make a comment also in regards to our math department. In addition to many of our teachers maintaining that 50% floor as a grading practice, our math department is now working on a standards-based grading. So the students, you can see there, we're really doing well. We have, out of all of our students, only 14% of our students have Ds and Fs in math. So the students have a very clear idea of what's expected of them when they're working on the standards-based grading. And so we have some interest among our other teachers to hear from the math department, how they're doing it, what their transition was like. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Under strategies and activities, in goal 3, I was wondering what SST meetings and 504 meetings are.
The student study team meetings are where teachers and counselor, often with the parent input, discuss some of the challenges the students are having and come up with strategies to help intervene.
Okay. And the 504 meetings?
And a 504 is a plan for a student who has a physical or mental condition that limits some major life function, which could be learning, thinking, sleeping, eating.
Right.
But it is a student who it isn't qualified under the laws for students with disabilities.
I see.
But
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Thanks. I just wanted to applaud the work that you're doing on grading and to pass along from the board. This is something that we talked a lot about during the conference, which is kind of how I think from the board perspective, I don't know, for me, it's something that really stresses me out and makes me worried when I know that so many students, especially during the pandemic year, were really getting, I don't know that grades that didn't necessarily reflect their competency, or it just felt like things were misaligned, that experiences were pretty negative in terms of grading. So to know that you've made progress in that area and that teachers are interested, I know that's work's happening at the high school. Well, we'll probably hear about that a little, but I've heard of it happening at the high school too. So it makes me feel reassured, because it's definitely an area where I feel like it's so easy to give a student, like, I imagine, being a student and then getting that bad grade and how that feels. And I'm glad that we're working to make sure that they're as accurate as they can be and as helpful as they can be of a tool. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I applaud the teachers who are willing to try something new and their colleagues who are willing to listen to them and investigate what's happening. Thank you.
I'd just make a comment, excuse me, that as difficult as distance learning and hybrid learning was for all of us, that there are some, I guess you could say, bright spots that came from that. And one of them is that we got some extra funding to allow us to get one-on-one computers and more technology for the teachers and things like that. And so 2 or 3 years ago, when we had reports like this, a lot of times the comments that were made by the staff were that our kids don't have enough time on the computers to learn how to do the iReady testing, or we don't have enough devices to get everybody in the same time, and it's a mess trying to go back and forth. But thankfully now, every kid has that device in their hand, and they get time to practice during class, and they're able to take it home and learn some of the keystroke cheats and things, I guess you could say, that help them along the way. So if there is a silver lining in the COVID cloud, this could be one of those that allows us to have a little more ability to practice those tests and to work on the keystrokes and things that allow the kids to do better. So applaud you for working hard on those tests. I know it's not a fun thing to do, standardized testing, but it is important to get that data, and we're looking forward to the end of the year report to see that growth. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the bright spots for me in doing the research for reporting tonight was looking at iReady over the last spring test from 2019, 20, looking at the fall, because we have fall 2021 right now, looking at fall 2020 and fall 2019, and we don't see a great deal of learning loss. So we're still wanting that below grade level band to push up, but I'm pleased to see that the growth, there isn't a great deal of increase in any of the low bands. So we're holding students steady, and now we're going to be looking to move them forward. Thank you.
Just real quick, and this kind of, so a couple comments. One, I really want to make sure that we understand the amount of progress that we've made in the last 2-3 years has been good, and the trajectory is excellent. I almost chuckled a little bit when Stephanie mentioned that it's hard to imagine how some kids could feel when they do poorly on a test. And the reason I was chuckling is because she went to Stanford, so I don't think she failed very many. And I was thinking, like, I can give you some experience on how that feels, especially when it came to algebra and math. which is why I want to segue into one of the things that we picked up when we were down in San Diego. And one of the things that I'm want to really focus on this year is our math. And I've given this a great deal of thought over many, many years about the challenges and the struggles that our kids have with math. I was one of those kids. I got A's in geometry. Algebra was a struggle for me. And yet we need to do better. And I'm really wanting to open a dialogue with everybody, administrators, teachers, students, parents, to improve on that. If we can't get, if 10, 15, 20, up to 50% of kids aren't getting math, certain math, it's limiting them their whole life. How can you buy a house if you don't understand how interest rates work? How do you buy a house if you can't understand how the payments work? Do you get a 30-year loan, a 15-year loan? Is it a variable rate? Those kind of things are decisions that people need to make, but they can't make them if they don't have certain basic math skills that I want to make sure that every kid leaving Windsor High School when they graduate, they have certain math skills, life skills, whatever you want to call it. And so, again, I applaud the progress we've made, but I'm really looking for our educators and everybody to chime in this next year. I want to have study sessions. I really want to make it a focal point of how we can take one specific thing and just put everything on the table of where we can improve for our kids. I know everybody's heart's in the right place to do that. I just want to kind of like, let's do it. I don't have the answers for how to do it. I know that the answers are out there though. And so I'm hoping that this next year, that's what it brings. So I want to take this improvement that we have and I really want to build on it. So I want to really put a lot of horsepower behind those goals. And thank you for bringing that up here and look forward to running that long, nice race to make this happen with you.
Thank you.
All right, Brian, you are up and no pressure, but you have 4 minutes and 38 seconds to beat from your first presentation.
All right, let's do this thing. All right, so thank you to our site council that contributed a lot to these goals. So our evaluation from last year was to go ahead and look at the iReady scores and then do the common assessments. This was unfortunately not met because of the struggles with distance learning and not all students taking the iReady test, and it wasn't. And then also the difficulty with teachers meeting, so they did not, and then all those things going on with Google Classroom, so they were not able to get those assessments together. Also, we were looking at increasing the number of students taking the LCAP survey, strongly agreeing that they have an adult on campus, that they would seek out a problem. So 28% of those taking the survey strongly agreed that they have an adult on campus, and then it was not met because it was 18%. And then there was a 10% increase in parents strongly agreeing that the high school keeps parents informed. Baseline of 20% was established, and this was also not met. So from goals 1 through 3, what was fully implemented? None of them were, but I don't want that to take away from the tremendous amount of work that the staff at Windsor High School put into making the distance learning year as successful as possible and giving all of those students as many opportunities as they can to have a quote unquote normal experience, including a fantastic graduation ceremony, a prom experience, as well as getting them back on campus for that last quarter of school. So they did create us support services, and they did a lot of work. Student advisors made a lot of contact, but we don't want to really focus too much on, what wasn't successful. We do want to honor all the great work of things that they were successful on. So going in for this year, so we're all about equity and access for this year and every year going forward. So we want to address, focus on our students with disabilities by increasing the percentage of students from 30 to 35%. This is be 10th grade students who select CTE courses during the 22 school selection process because we want to those students to show up on our college and career indicator dashboard. And so our CTE program is the area that they can, many of those students will have the greatest area of success. So we want to continue to increase the number of students who are participating in those courses. Rich, to your point, we want to focus on those Math 1 competency rates. We also really want to pay attention to the disparity between our white and Hispanic Latinx students. So we want to move our white students to increase from 94% pass rate to 95%. And then we want to increase with our Hispanic Latinx students from 80% to 85%. And that will be a 3-year goal of getting it up to 95% by the end of our work. And then we want to improve the percentage of seniors earning the seal of biliteracy for 10% to 15%. And that's also going to be a multi-year goal because it does take many years with changes that we're making to get students to be able to get the seal of biliteracy. Are there any questions or comments?
I did have the reason for the 3 years is, can you help me with that? Can it be faster, or is it, that's just the sequencing of how it will need to be successful?
So 3 years for the math competency. It certainly can be faster, particularly after all the study sessions that we're going to have in terms of looking at the progress, that we're making. So we've established kind of a pre-Math 1 course to help develop the foundation. And then, you'll notice that we're no longer mentioning the D rate, and that will lead to, if we do make changes with and align closer to what California has, which is 2 years of math with the highest level being Math 1, then it's no longer focusing on Ds in Math 1 because there's not automatically moving to Math 2. So then we can offer, your business math, your consumer math, your construction math, the different math courses in maybe a 3-year progression. So yes, absolutely. We will be focusing on it. We've been working standard-based grading for math as well. But what is that you under promise and over deliver?
Right.
I did have a question also. I
Yes.
was wondering what the seal of biliteracy is.
So the state seal of biliteracy demonstrates that students are proficient in both English and Spanish. And so they have to pass the SBAC in their 11th grade year in English with proficient or exceeding proficiency. They have to, I believe, take an AP course in Spanish. Lisa, am I missing anything else?
Well, and it for us, it's Spanish, but it's any other second language that you meet those criteria for.
And then I was wondering if you could speak more to the strategy to achieve that.
So step 1, I directed our counselors to enroll more freshmen into Spanish 1 this year. So that was a good first step. But just based on our percent of our students coming from Cali, I think on average we should have about 25% of every senior class who could be achieving a seal of biliteracy. So there's some concerns about how we offer the AP Spanish rotation, whether it's AP language or AP literature. So we're looking at offering the AP language every year, which has a higher percentage of passing, and then only offering the AP literature every other year. And then, of course, more access and opportunity for students who didn't attend Cali to be able to take Spanish 1 their freshman year, which will allow them to get to that AP level by their junior or senior year.
Right. I honestly think this is a fantastic goal. So thank you for thinking of this.
Thank you.
And I was just curious if the students have been told that this is the expectation for Windsor High School, that Windsor High School has this goal.
That's part of the issue is that many students don't even know that this is an opportunity.
Exactly,
And I
right.
do think that this is that working with those graduates from Cali and saying, basically putting every single one of those students on track for this goal.
Exactly.
Because this is a actual seal on their diploma
Right.
that shows that they are truly bilingual,
Right. Yeah, I think that they need to be informed about that, and I think that they'll rise to the occasion.
definitely.
But I have a follow-up question. It just, oftentimes we talk about the biliteracy being, English and Spanish. I know a lot of kids, they actually go to the junior college and take sign language classes. Does that qualify in that realm or not? It does?
It qualifies under dual enrollment because they get, so just to back up a moment, the seal of biliteracy is one of multiple criteria that we're asking students to meet on the college career indicator. So when Molinelli, you're talking about, let's make sure we're educating kids for sure on the seal of biliteracy and all of the other ways in which students can show up as prepared on the college career indicator. So in answer to your question, Rich, I don't know that they can get the seal of biliteracy in American Sign Language, but I do know that by virtue of taking those courses, they can be A to G, which is part of the college career indicator preparedness criteria. And they also get credit for being dually enrolled in high school and at Santa Rosa Junior College. So it gets them those two.
Thank you.
I honestly think it would mean so much to them to hear that message from you, actually. I think that that would be wonderful for them to know that this is a big opportunity.
Definitely, and as a parent of Cali students, that's been my dream for them, because I'm a failed Spanish student. It's been my dream for them to get that seal of biliteracy. And then so I came in asking a number of questions about how do you get it and what are the roadblocks, and then looking at those percentages and then comparing them to our schools in our neighboring districts that do not have dual immersion programs. There was definitely some structural issues that we're gonna tackle to be able to do that, and then promote not just the seal of biliteracy, but every way that you can make that college and career indicator dashboard and show that you're college and career ready by the time you graduate.
If it's okay, I want to just jump back, Rich, to number 2, and I want to clarify a couple of things. Brian, when you said it was a 3-year goal, it's a 3-year goal for the high school. However, the 95 and 85% are the 1-year goals for this year.
Correct.
So, Rich, we're looking to get to 95 and 85% this fall right now. And you will actually know the answer to those questions in February or March, when Brian analyzes all of the first semester IM1 grades and does the 9th grade math placement board presentation. So we're in that week right now, and when grades post in January, we'll know.
Good, thanks. The only reason I brought it up is because on the board and teachers, administrators, we're always looking, at short-term goals, medium, long, whatever, right? And all of us, our long-term goals for everybody is to be as good as we can be. But I always want to remember that the kids that are in high school right now, they got 4 years. That's it. And so their ability and their time to excel is very limited. And so I don't, sometimes we can, hey, man, we're going to get this done in 3, 4, 5 years from now, we're going to be there, right? But some people may have missed out on some of those opportunities. So I always want to I'm greedy. I want to try and get there a little bit quicker than we can, maybe. So.
And it really should say so that would be an 85% first time taking the course. It's 100% of the students pass the course, because you have to get it to graduate. So it's 85% the first time they take the course.
Cool. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. All right, here's a little fun for the evening. So even though he's in his 2nd year as principal of alternative education, Forrest Harper is making his debut in the town council chambers tonight. He texted me earlier and said, where do I go for this board meeting? Because he's been on Zoom.
I parked over at the DO and I was walking around those offices. I'm like, I don't think this is it. So I figured it out.
All right, so Forrest, I'm going to bring up North Bay Met first. And Forrest will be presenting tonight on North Bay Met and Windsor Oaks Academy. He gets to write 2 SIPSs every year.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Luckily, I have a full site council, so that's great. We have no vacancies. So our goals for last year was to increase our enrollment by 10%. I'm happy to say that we met that goal. We actually exceeded that goal. At the time I wrote this, we were at 74 students, and now we're at 76. So that is something that's very exciting. That's also an increase from 10% from last fall as well. So that's really nice that we've been growing as a school. Our second goal is to increase our growth from our baseline assessment in math from tier 1 from 6 to 10%. And then also for reading from tier 1 from 23% to 30%. That goal was not met. We were at 8% in math, so just 2% shy of meeting our 10% goal. And we were at 28% in reading, so we were just also 2% shy of meeting our 30% goal. And then North Bay Met Academy, we had a goal to increase our graduation rate from 84% to 90%. And we met that goal with actually 100% of our seniors graduating in North Bay Met last year. So goals 1 and 3 were fully implemented. 100% of our students graduated, and we also were able to increase our enrollment. So that's something we were very excited about. Goal 2, we were just shy of 2%, so we didn't quite get there. So what strategies did we do? Well, we really posted on social media a lot. I don't know if you follow us. If you don't, please follow Instagram North Bay Met. We post a lot on social media. We're actually nationally recognized by Big Picture National last year, and we came in a second place competition, lost to a school in Barbados. And so now every time I think of Barbados, I think Barbados, they beat us. But we're actually pretty good at posting on social media. And so usually when we talk to parents, I say, go on social media, you'll see what we do. We created a new brochure. It looks really nice with the help of Big Picture National. We also created a promotional video that if you go to our Facebook page, if you go to our website, you can see that. We participate in a lot of community events. This is the second year. Well, we've had a Christmas tree and the town green every year, but last year we created these LTI ornaments where there were a little cube and it has a student's face, their name, and where they are at their LTI. And so the tree is full of these LTI ornaments. It's really cool. Last year I was going to visit it and somebody was walking by and stopped and was looking at the tree. And I'm like, do you like that? Like, I'm the principal there. It was very exciting, and it really catches people's eyes. And on the ornaments, there's a little QR code that you can scan, and it takes us to our website where you can fill out our new Google Doc about being interested in the school that we monitor every single week and reach out to parents. So we've been really focusing on heavily recruiting, and that's great because our school's growing. This year, we're continuing that theme. We presented to Mark West Charter. We presented to Sonoma Country Day School. We presented to Village Charter School. I'm in talks with presenting to Willowside. I'm also working with Amy and Sharon at Cali and Windsor Middle School. And so we're really trying to get all those 8th graders and bring them to Windsor. Reducing the credits also really helped with the graduation rate, to be honest. And so we were able to reduce our credits for our seniors, and that really helped a couple students that were struggling with English. And so that helped us get to the 100% graduation rate. What strategies weren't super hot? I was very cheap on spending on Facebook advertising, and I would usually spend like $5 to boost a page or something like that. And it would be, you reached 150 more people. I don't think that really helped very much. And so I don't know if I need to just not do that and do something different or spend a lot more money on advertising. That's something that wasn't super helpful last year. And then the iReady assessment, we were just short on our goals. Something that we really are focusing on this year is getting student buy-in. When we had our October 16th Professional Development Day, we're looking over some of the iReady worksheets that students can interact with and fill out and kind of interact with their scores. And so we're trying that this year to get students a little bit more buy-in to interact with their iReady assessments to get them a little more excited about iReady. And our goals for this year is to increase our North Bay Met participation for our LTIs. The previous year when we were at normal school, we had 75% participation in our LTIs, and we want to increase that to 80%. And we also want to increase parent participation in school events. And so coming back from the pandemic, we really want to get parents kind of back more involved in the school. Obviously, during the pandemic, we had to cancel so many of our school events or just have them on Zoom. We want to bring parents back into the school and get them back more involved. And so we are now tracking every parent that comes to different school events. So we want to get 80% of students represented by a parent at least at one school event. And then lastly, our third goal is to increase our iReady, and we are also this year taking the Berkeley Math Assessment, 10% increase from our baseline to our end of the year. And that is our goals.
I'm going to jump in real quick. One of the seminars we went down when we were in San Diego was about marketing or whatever, and it was amazing. And I've got the email of the person. I'll send it to Jeremy, and he can shoot out to different folks. But one of the things that they're talking about, and so I'm repeating because I don't understand it, is Facebook is not where people are advertising so much. I mean, obviously people advertise like crazy in there, but as far as reaching your school audience, they're going like, you want to be on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm like, and so I'm telling you, I have not even a clue. I've seen TikTok once in a while on a thing. How you do it, I don't know. I'm just letting you know that they're saying they were getting really, really good results by advertising something on TikTok. And so, and I'll forward that to you too. But, you know, I love what you're doing over at Met. I've been enthralled with the program and the concept from the very beginning. And I like what you're doing and your staff. And I think you're doing an awesome job. And I really appreciate your efforts.
I have a question. I was wondering if the fact that you lowered the number of credits that are needed for graduation, if that affected students' outcomes for being able to go to college.
No, because last year we had none of our students going straight to a four-year college or four-year university. And so students had to complete 30 credits of English, which was the California minimum in order to graduate, but that didn't affect anyone's enrollment in college or university.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just throw it out there to Malinali, who will be the liaison next year for you guys this upcoming year, is that they do lots of great programs and they invite you all the time. I was the liaison this year, and regretfully I couldn't go to the Thanksgiving feast or the salsa tasting. Some of those things are really great to visit and participate in, but I've gone on bike rides with the group and I've been on some of the LTI visits, and it's a great program. I'm proud of it. I'm glad I got involved from the grassroots when we went to visit in Sacramento, and I followed it all the way through. And I do see your Facebook stuff all the time. There's posts from earlier this week or last week. So you're out there, it's being noticed, and we appreciate what you're doing. And I look forward to more things in the future.
I think you have another presentation that you're about to do about Oaks, but I'll just say thank you. I just followed North Bay Met Academy on Instagram, so I'll get to see your posts more frequently. Yes.
All right. So, and now Windsor Oaks Academy, we have the same school site council, different citizens. Next slide. Oh, sorry, forgot already. So goal number one is to increase our attendance from 70% or 70.5% to 80%. We just barely met that goal at 80.5%. Next goal is 80% of our 12th grade students who are enrolled in Windsor Oaks Academy for at least their junior year will attend one learning through interest or one leaving to learn by their second semester of Windsor Oaks. We were not able to do that because of COVID. Unfortunately, last year, Windsor Oaks also transitioned to become a big picture learning school. And so that's great because now North Bay Met and Windsor Oaks are working a lot on big picture learning things together. Unfortunately, last year was kind of a rough year to start being a big picture learning school with going out and visiting different businesses and professions because of the pandemic, so much was closed. And then our last goal was to increase our graduation rate from 45% to 60%, and we met that, and we had 64% graduate. Goals number 1 and 3 were fully implemented. So we increased our graduation rate to 64%, which is great. And then our attendance, we also met by just 0.5%. And then our goal number 2 was not fully implemented, unfortunately, due to COVID. So what strategies were helpful? We reduced the number of credits to graduate. So last year, North Bay Met reduced the English credits to just 30 just for last year, and that's what the board approved last year. And with Windsor Oaks Academy, we were looking to make that change permanent because that was one of the subjects that students really struggle with at Windsor Oaks, getting all 40 of those credits of English in order to graduate. So that really helped. Also previously, before I was principal, we had an AM/PM schedule where half the students would come for half the day and the other half would come for the other day. And we got rid of that and have now all students coming at once. And it was reported that that was really, really helpful. We had a new teacher that we hired last year, and she's been phenomenal. She's here again. We're super excited. It seems like things are meshing really, really well with our 2 teachers at Oaks, and they work really, really well together. And it seems like we have this really awesome 2-teacher combo team at Oaks that's phenomenal. Last year's attendance was also helpful with making sure we reach our attendance because you could get attendance by emailing your teacher or turning in assignments, so that was helpful. What strategies weren't particularly helpful? Well, COVID wasn't helpful. And so our new goals, now that we are back, we are having students participate in LTIs. And so we have now, our goal is to establish an LTI program at Oaks and have 15% of our students participate in an LTI. You might wonder, why is it 80% at North Bay Met and 15% at Windsor Oaks? The reason why is some students can't have an LTI because they're so credit deficient. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have to be at school to do their makeup credits. And so there are some students that aren't that far behind in their credits. And so we're starting that kind of as a jumping point to go forward. Our next goal is to increase the total number of credits earned through projects. So when students are at Windsor Oaks Academy, they can earn credits in 2 different ways. They can earn credits through our online makeup program, or they can earn credits through projects. And something we really noticed last year is students did a lot better and were a lot more invested when they were making up credits through projects as opposed to just taking an online course. And so last year we counted up all the credit slips, and 57% of the credits earned last year were through projects, and we want to increase that to 65% this year. And then our third goal is the same as MET, which is to increase our baseline in iReady for reading and our baseline for math with the Berkeley assessment, and have it be an 8% increase from our baseline to our end of the year. And that is my presentation.
Maybe I was dozing off a bit or something. Did you mention why you choose the Berkeley in place of the iReady that the other schools are using for the math?
What I heard is that the Berkeley assessment is a better math assessment for high school students than iReady, where iReady is more focused on middle school and kind of elementary grades. And so we were recommended to go with the Berkeley assessment.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Questions, anybody? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest. Okay, is that it, Lisa? Okay, that's the end of 7.4. We're going to make an audible here because we recognize the sports tonight. I'm audibling. We're going to move 7.3 up to be our next discussion. That way, our folks can go ahead and move. And so this is going to be, it's consideration of approval for district-wide intercom upgrade project using AMS.net's technology solutions proposal. This is going to be with Austin. This is why we say first names, Austin Matazaganian. How close? Butchered it, huh?
Not very.
Matazaganian?
There you go. That's perfect. Thanks, Rich.
Oh, sorry.
To back up and approve The action for 7.4. We have to receive.
Oh, got it. Yeah,
So
actually, Eric, can you hang on one second?
Yeah, no problem.
I made my third blunder. So we got to go back to 7.4 real quick, and we just have to approve.
well, we need to ask
Okay.
for public comment.
Is there any public comment on anything that we've heard on 7.4? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and then we need to make a motion. Okay.
I'll move.
Can I have a second?
I'll second the motion to approve the reports.
Great, thank you. All those in favor signify, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
He
The
was
vote,
aye.
He
it
was
passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Appreciate the help.
Now we can go to.
Now we can go to 7.3.
Good evening, Board. So what we have here is the contract for the purchase and installation of the new phone system and public address system at all of the schools. There's a couple major components to this. One, like I said, is the phone, but they integrate. The two systems integrate. This is really a modern technology that's really kind of bringing us to the 21st century here. And these integrated phones are, you're going to be able to do your all calls from the phone. You're going to be able to do your emergency calls from the phone. And it's going to go to a new PA system that's going to be on the wall that not only does announcements, but it also has visual indicators. Those visual indicators can do things like silent notifications for lockdowns. They can do notifications for lockdowns, and they can do canned notifications that the campus uses all the time. Those notifications,
That's good.
those notifications are able to be programmed from the phone. Bell schedules are able to be programmed by each campus and from a central system. It really is a safety improvement for a district that does not have a cohesive singular system. The whole system meshes together. There can be district-wide announcements. There can be cell phone notifications to cell phones of folks who are not necessarily on campus every day, all day. It's a really robust Cisco system integrated with Atlas clock speaker systems. Now, there's also some infrastructure that needs to be installed with this that is part of this as well. It's the back end, it's the computer pieces that live in the server closets. It's also a cabling upgrade for each campus because this does require Category 6 low voltage cabling that will be installed for all of these new devices. We are doing this, we bid this out about a year ago and got some higher prices, revamped the project, came through, and we're doing this through piggyback agreements with AMS.net. The good part about using AMS.net is they are also right now currently doing a technology upgrade for you for your existing technology. Having one integrator do all of those installs together really brings the system together and makes sure we don't have any finger pointing about, hey, it's his fault, hey, it's your fault, and the school district's left trying to figure that out. They're a partner, they're an integrator that puts these systems together, and they're used by almost every school district my company works in and manages to do these kind of IT projects. They're really the experts in the field. So we're super excited about this. It's going to improve safety. It's going to improve communication. It's going to help the sites with their bell schedules and with their ability to make announcements. And it's going to put the whole district on a unified system that's going to make it easier for maintenance and control of the system and make sure that everybody's systems are working all the time.
I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, does anybody else have any?
I'll ask them while you're in.
You go ahead.
So maybe this is for Austin. Is this being covered under bond funds, or how are we paying this bill?
Correct. It's being kind of covered under bond funds.
Okay. Stephanie?
They say something. Normally, this wouldn't come in this fashion, but this was an item that really had just gone through a large process.
Yeah.
And so wanted to at least bring it so that you guys could understand. It's a little bit new. We added some things, but it was necessary because it was cost effective, frankly. So that's why it's here in open session being discussed.
Okay, so you answered a couple of questions. One, I want to know if this was going to be ran on Cat 6, so that way any future upgrades and stuff, we're already using the newer stuff. That's good. Is it expandable so when we have other campuses, we can just, it's plug and go?
Absolutely. It's
and-
a completely expandable system.
And then what about ongoing costs? Will AMS, is that what it is, AMS? Yeah, AMS, will they train Brad and our staff? So then that way we can do our own stuff, or is?
Absolutely. There's a line item in your proposal that includes training. We've done this upgrade with the mini districts before. There's definitely some on-site training, but there's also kind of a train the trainer methodology too, where they grab some people from the district and get them to be experts. So as you kind of ship people in and people change and move around, you still have that knowledge base on campus. They're ready to train new folks.
Is this all wired, or is some of it wireless, or
It's
both?
all wired.
All wired? That's good.
Your phones are all wired.
And then what about ongoing costs for subscriptions, those kind of things for the
Yes, so
software
there's,
upgrades?
subscriptions included in a 5-year package. So you're paying for your subscriptions for 5 years, and then after that initial 5 years, you have to plan for those ongoing costs.
Gotcha. Do you know any idea what the rough order that is?
Off the top of my head, no. I'd have to go back and do the math a little bit for you.
Okay. That's
I
pretty
know
much.
you get a discount with the 5-year purchase up front, so I'd have to go back and kind of figure out what that looks like at the end of the 5 years.
This company, they've been in business how long?
Multiple decades.
Okay, so it's a legacy
I've done work
company,
with them back in since the early 2000s. So
and you've had good success at other schools
good
in
success
implementing this
at
as
other
well?
school districts. Other ones, large and small. Smaller school districts with 2 schools, and then all the way up to larger school districts with 40 schools.
Any downside to this that other things might offer? Everything's a
No.
compromise, but
There's always a little bit of compromise here and there, but this system is really, it's what you need. It's the old amps and speakers and that kind of stuff. It's really dated. IP-based system, centrally located, centrally controlled is the system that you want.
oh, that was my last question.
No problem.
Maybe. It's voice over internet, right?
Voice over IP.
So as far as power, if we had a power failure, do we have battery backup so that way we can still communicate even if our power goes out and our solar batteries aren't working and everything
Yeah,
else?
so I'd have to ask Brad about what the UPS status is at each campus. I do not know that off the top of my head. You do have some ability to give solar backup, but typically you keep one hard line, and that's kind of the emergency line for the campus. At other districts, you usually you keep the fax line because you can't fax over voice over IP. We've got all the districts still hanging on to one fax line per campus, and you use that as an emergency phone and a fax line.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion or?
For onto the training point that Eric had mentioned. So the other line item is it's 5.5, but it's 100 hours for training for Brad's staff. So I mean, 100 hours, that's 2.5 weeks almost of just consistent training. So
Very good.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Do we have any comments from the public on this? Okay, any more questions? Nope. Do we need to make a motion or is this a resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the district intercom upgrades project.
I'll second the motion. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Vote count passes 5-0 and student approves as well.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Thanks for kindly moving me forward. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was 7.3. And now we're going to have 7.1, the old 7.1, which is consideration of approval of the 2021-2022 first interim financial report by our Chief Business Officer, Austin.
You do it, Rich. All right, first interim. This is a nicer presentation for me because last time I was up here, I was frankly presenting numbers that I had no idea what they meant. But this one I actually was able to dive in and get to know it pretty well. So 21-22 legislative update in a really short, condensed picture. That's kind of what we feel like at the district office at sometimes. Feels like the state's changing things left and right, and we're stuck back there just trying to figure out how to hold up all the change. And Lisa's probably getting tired of writing grants, and you guys are probably getting tired of reviewing them. But changes coming, and we're just trying to put the brakes on it a little bit. So some of the updates that we've had since the last time that we've talked: we've had the educator effectiveness block grant. We've had the expanded school day requirements. So next year we're looking at a school day of 9 hours. Universal TK planning. Next year we know that 4-year-olds by a certain age need to have universal TK. That requires buildings, that requires teachers. There's a lot of requires additional food service. There's so much that goes into that transportation. So right now we're planning for all that change on top of COVID. And then again, COVID grant spending deadlines were pushed back. They're no longer in this staggered format. They're all pushed back to 2026. Independent study changes. We went from short-term to long-term. We're going back and forth all the time, but now you have a short-term where you can do it for a certain amount of time, long-term. And then the ADA cliff in 22-23, which we will talk about a little bit more in detail later when you guys can kind of see it in the numbers. So first interim changes since adopted budget. The first item that I kind of want to highlight is an additional $710,000 in STRS on behalf is in this budget. That is just a paper trail. So GASB 68 a while ago, and then was amended by GASB 71, basically said that school districts needed to account for any buy down at the state level for STRS. So we get this STRS on behalf payment, and we don't actually get the money and we don't actually spend the money. It doesn't affect us at all, but we have to account for it. And the problem with it though is they put it in the general fund. So when we account for it, so this year there was a buy down, as you guys are well aware, and we have to account for it. So there was an additional $710,000 that went to this buy down that we're accounting for. That looks like we're spending this additional money, but we're really not. It's just an accounting at the end. Go ahead, Eric.
I'm just going to chime in.
Yeah, of course.
We talk school acronyms till we go crazy, but for those viewing it at home that don't know what we're talking about, this is the State Teacher Retirement System, STRS. So a lot of extra money coming from the district to help pay for the retirees.
Definitely. Thank you, Eric.
So we got the money, we have to account for it, and then it automatically went away.
So, so basically what happened was the state said, we're going to buy down your STRS costs because they're going too high. And because of a law that went into place many years ago, they made it to where the districts have to account for it in their accounting. The only bad thing about that, though, is it's looking like we're spending $700,000 more than what we are.
Yeah, in the real estate world, that's called phantom income,
Yeah.
except for the school district doesn't have to pay taxes on that 710, but in the real estate world, you do.
Yeah.
So it's good to be a school.
So moving on, we have health and welfare costs that went up 5% starting October 1st. We had an increase in books and supplies, and that was due to COVID. And also principals carryover. Principals, they were in school for 2 months, 3 months-ish last year, and so they weren't going to spend all their money. We also had Windsor Creek that had shut down, and that money got reverted over to the principals. And so right now in our principals funds, they have a big carryover that they're kind of carrying over, which is expected. And then we also have a healthcare contract for COVID testing. That healthcare contract is $600,000, and that's one of the expenditures in this budget as well. That was not in the adopted budget. I keep thinking Lisa's clicking me, and it's me. So looking at our multi-year combined, we talked about the ADA cliff. So in 21-22, so if you go back, in 1920 was when COVID hit. We didn't really know what to do, so we just took P2 and shortened it down. The following year, all these kids are independent study. Some kids are withdrawing out of school, doing homeschool, whatever. And the governor said, we're going to have ADA hold harmless. Well, that was different than a prior year guarantee. A prior year guarantee is when you're funded off the higher of the ADA, but the hold harmless is we're just going to use the same ADA. So now this year we're being funded off an ADA really that is about 300 kids higher than what we're actually at. So you see that take place in 22-23 to where that declining enrollment over the time, our revenue set in. And the main thing that I want to touch up on is when enrollment is decreasing, each of these kids, if you have one kid, it's worth roughly $10,000 to $11,000. It's worth about $10,500. And so, 10 kids, that's $100,000. And so enrollment truly is a driver of a lot of these revenues that we're looking at. It's a driver of all revenues as well. And so looking at our fund balance, you can see it start to dwindle in the out years. And if we had a year 4 up here, it wouldn't look so pretty. But that's the current climate. So this is our Cali multi-year projection. Cali's been fun for me because I've never had a direct funded charter. And so I probably spend more time with Sharon than a lot of the others just because she's working on budget things because she kind of controls her own budget a little bit and does her own LCAP. And it's new for me and I enjoy it. So Cali, this year, they still have that same ADA fall off to 22, 23. And you can see what that does to the budget. Some of the fall off as well as this is combined, so it's looking at restricted as well. So we're getting a lot of educator effectiveness block grant. We're getting COVID monies this year that aren't necessarily carrying out in those out years. But you can see Cali's budget. So in Cali's budget, they're actually negative in the third year. So that is one area. All the money that's in that assigned or restricted in the third year is restricted. So therefore they have to have a negative unassigned. So future expectations. These are some large question marks. One of them is the electronic connectivity fund. Basically, the state said that when all this was going on, when COVID was happening, they were going to reimburse for certain expenditures that were related to technology, students having one-to-one devices, having access to the network, and really it was surrounded about equity, making sure that every kid could have the same educational opportunity as the other. So that had a huge question mark though, because they didn't put a timeline on it. They didn't say when it started, really. They just sent out a letter, and then they haven't really said when it's going to end. So that's a large question mark for us. We just continue to get more and more confirmation that it's going to come in, but we don't really know when that money is going to come in. It could be this year, it could be next year. But that is a large dollar amount. It's over $1 million. So then going to 21, 22 state revenues. Currently, revenues at the state level are 26% higher than projected as of November. This is from July to November. And that's always exciting for anyone in school business as they look to the governor's January proposal, which I'm sure we'll all probably be on with capital advisors. But we'll see how the governor kind of decides to spend this surplus that was not expected. So is there any questions? Rich, let someone else go first.
Board? Actually, do we want to go out to public? Is there any public comment? Any questions? I see one so far.
Hi, Pete Stefanisco, WDEA president. So some of our members have been looking over budget and they're looking at reserves, right? And so at one point, I know we have the budgeted about, what, 3 million or so for the direct reserves for economic uncertainties, right?
Correct.
And then it shows an excess this year of almost 8 million. And so teachers are wondering, how come that money is not available, right? Or is it available? And so I'm wondering if you can guide us through that, what that means. Yeah.
So the reserve is, it's a little tricky. So the reserve for economic uncertainty, we chose 5% as a district. State required is 3%. The 5% really is important for us to have because you have, I think it's roughly 2.7 is right number, but our covered payroll for 1 month is 3.1 million. So as you look at cash flow, which is different from budget, a lot of people look at a budget and they think that you get all this money up front. But really, you need some sort of reserve to where you're not paying a negative interest from interfund borrowing. So we know we don't get the 56 million up front. We get increments, apportionments. And the more money you get in property taxes, the less you get throughout the year and the more you get in December and June, the heavy months. So for us, a good example, we started out the month of December with about 2.5 million in cash for the general fund. So we were looking at possibly having to make an interfund borrow, but we didn't. We didn't have to. And a lot of that was reserves. So that's what some of those reserves are used for. And kind of, does that answer your question a little bit, Pete?
About that, but then the 8 million or so, that it goes like 8 million, 5 million, and then 1.2 over the multi-year.
Okay, just so that way we're all, for everybody at home and everybody, they're all playing together on the same, Pete, where's the 8 million? Is that unassigned?
We put that, I think
Yeah.
that, it was on the first one there.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to, make sure we're all talking the same thing. Because we kind of hopped around. We went from,
Yeah, so on the bottom, the unassigned. Yeah.
okay, yeah, so the 8 million, because I was going, if our reserve was 8 million, I'm thinking like, we're missing like 5 of it. So,
Yeah, so I can go over the fund balance a little bit. So when you have your fund balance, you have all these components in it. So you have reserve for economic uncertainty, that's state required 3%. Our
Mhm.
district chose 5%. And I kind of just went over that. But assigned or restricted. So if it's restricted, that means that the board has put action on it and they've restricted these funds to a certain use.
Mhm.
Assigned is the district assigning these funds to certain uses in throughout the year. So if I were to assign funds, so like this year, I assigned a carryover to a couple of the sites because I know that we had this huge carryover that's going to this year, and we're frankly probably not going to spend it all. So then I assigned it to where that's going to be another carryover for the following year. So the unassigned, though, that's unassigned money that isn't assigned to a certain expenditure that is up to the discretion of the board or administration on how that they want to allocate it.
right. So just for clarification for everybody and for myself. So on the bottom of year 21, 22, there's, call it $8 million, 7.9. That money, if none of it got spent, that would roll over into 22, 23, correct?
The 7.9?
Yes.
No, it'd be the 13,431. So that rolls over to your beginning fund balance in the following year.
So is the 7.9, is that part of that 13?
It is, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 2,893, 2,586, and the 7,950, those all three add up to the ending fund balance.
So if we, just as a discussion, if we spent all $8 million, then our beginning fund or our ending fund, actually either way, our ending fund in 2020, go back to the other one.
Would be about 2 million.
It'd be $2 million.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a direct correlation of how it rolls over if we, okay.
Correct. Absolutely.
So I think the easiest way for me to digest this and for you to share with your members is that the money that's in the excess there that's bracketed, that means we're negatives, spending the wrong direction, spending more than we're getting in. And the unassigned at the bottom is taking into account subtracting those numbers that are in the parentheses. So that number is getting smaller because we are having less revenue, but we're spending beyond our money, basically.
So actually, if it would have said excess spent, that might have been a little bit more definitive, because that's, I think people that would have been, is that our deficit? So our deficit for that year is 920 grand. Our deficit, if this is stayed exactly how it is 3.4 million the following year, which means we're spending more than what we have coming in. Is that correct? Okay.
And then looking at the way it declines, and you're talking about the ADA clip. Before COVID hit, we had some loss of ADA, but it's more significant, would you say, in the last 2 years? But we haven't had to account for that because we've been held at earlier numbers when our attendance was higher. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak on this matter? Okay. Want to keep going, Austin, or is there questions, board member questions? All
I
good?
don't have any questions, and we did spend some time in closed session talking through the budget as well, so we had, that other.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Austin, I just want to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're new to the district, but this, I know you've got to where you've really learned the system, or well, not learned the system. You know what each one of these numbers mean. It is like calculus 4. And I just want, we all appreciate the amount of extra time that you've put in to really not just take what we've had, but to go and look at everything and scrutinize it and really understand why each thing is where it is and understand it. And that's not just an 8 to 5 job. And so to really get up to speed as quick as you have on this, we all appreciate it, everybody in the whole district, because without this working well, it can sneak up on you really fast. And then the next thing you know, you're in a lot of trouble. And so I appreciate your diligence. And I think I'm speaking for everybody that's listening. And so we appreciate the extra effort.
No, thank you. Thank you, Rich.
I'm going to tell Austin he was here at 11:30 last night working still in his office. So I think the point is well taken, and he is working extremely hard. So,
and you keep working that hard, and I'm going to really work hard to learn your name is Austin.
So I will make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 first interim report.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All right.
You can let Bill second it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Seconded by Trustee Adams. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None? All right. Motion carries 5-0 and 1 for our student. Thanks, Kai. All right, now we're going to move to 7.2, consideration of approval of resolution 2022-7 regarding accounting of development fees for 2021, 2020, and 2021 fiscal year. Thanks, Austin.
Yeah, so I don't have a presentation for this one. It's just a resolution. But basically at the state level, you get these developer fees you have to put into its own fund. And then you have to report out every year. And then every 5 years, you have to do a special report out. But every year you have to report out what they're used for. And if there was any refunds or any gimmicks really that were involved in it. And for us, we did have one refund. There was a refund of, I think it was about $3,000 for some sort of membership refund that we didn't use it. So therefore we asked for a refund for it. So, but we have to put that on the resolution. So that's what you guys are approving tonight. And it has to be put in its own fund. That way the interest that's earned on it is continued to be used within that fund for the same purposes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
I don't want to extend the meeting any more than we need to, but I had a question considering developer fees. I know there's some neighboring districts that are questioning the amounts that they're receiving, wanting more from some of the developers and such. Do we have any discussions about some of that coming up, or are we just going to go kind of status quo with what we've had in the past?
We do not have necessary discussions. So developer fees are set. I mean, we can only get a certain amount, right? I think that discussion, I know it's district you're talking about, was really stating that the developer fees don't pay for the new buildings that are necessary all the time for the number of kids who may be coming in. That is true, but it's basically, it's law, and we follow that. So there really is no avenue to increase the developer fees besides saying, hey, we're not gonna be able to accommodate all of your kids. Can you kick in more? But it's really a request versus any action that the board or district may take.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Austin.
Thanks, guys.
So this is a resolution. So do we need to make a motion first and then the resolution? Okay, so,
I'll make a motion.
okay, can I have a second? I'll second it. Can we have a vote? All those in favor? Say,
Roll call it.
oh, no, we have to, I thought we have to do the.
That is the vote.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so we make a motion, a second, and
Then we roll call.
okay, I'm gonna be really good in a year. Okay, so thank you for the first and who I was the second. And then Jen, could you please ask everybody?
Rich Carnation,
Yes?
Bill Adams. Yes. Stephanie Ahmad,
Yes.
Eric Cates,
Yes?
Malinali Lopez.
Yes.
Okay, vote passes 5-0. Thank you, Austin. All righty, so that was 7.2. 2. So now we're up to, I believe, we're at 7.5, right? Okay, 7.5, consideration of discussion and approval of updated section BP 6170.1 transitional kindergarten. Superintendent Decker?
Yeah, so the governor, as you guys know, has modified how TK is going to be funded and really implemented. And next year, he's not talking to us, right? Oh, I see. So currently, the law is TK is September transitional kindergarten. It's September 2nd to December 2nd. And what that means is if you turn 5 within those dates, then you're eligible to start school for us and we get funded to educate you. Next year, those dates have changed based on the governor's implementation plan of universal TK. And so it'll be September 2nd to February 2nd. So we need to modify our board policy regardless of tonight. However, what I have proposed is that we don't just do those dates, that we extend it all the way, meaning we could preemptively implement what the governor is planning to educate all 4-year-olds in our district early. So what the board policy states is if a child turns 4 by September 2nd, we're going to take them and educate them. This would come at a cost to the district because we're only funded for students from September 2nd to February 2nd next year. So we'd be educating the students whose birthday fall outside of that February 3rd and beyond date for free. I think that it's a benefit to the district, though. I think there's educational benefits and potential financial benefits. Obviously, the educational benefits are obvious. You're getting more instruction. We can ensure that the families who couldn't necessarily afford preschool could come here because we're offering free education for those students. Financially, I think there's a benefit because we may attract families who otherwise may have gone elsewhere. Or, a lot of times you have preschool with other students, you make friends and you stay and you go to the same school that they go to. So I think that if we can preempt the governor's, implementation plan, it helps us. And so just some stats for you. Our current kinder class, we have 104 students whose birthday fall between September 2nd and February 2nd, and 108 whose birthday falls outside of it. So roughly a 50-50 split. The cost of a TK classroom is somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000, the true cost. And if you think about what Austin presented about what we get for students, it's roughly $10,500. Somewhere between 10 and 15 students basically pays for the class. So anyway, so if you think about it that way, there's some room in there to take on free students and still not be losing money for the district. And I'm not going to convolute the waters too much, but there is also preschool funding. We're not going to call that, we're going to have one name for this, but in terms of the budgeting side, we're going to apply some of these students who are 4 outside of the birthday range to some of the preschool funding. And you can commingle the funds and have those students in the same classrooms. I don't want to go too in depth with that, but just know that's there. So it also lessens the hit of educating these students for free. Yes,
So
sir.
For the public that's watching and maybe curious about this for their children coming up, how are we going to house these kids? Do we have room for them? Do we have playground space? Do we have cafeteria that was mentioned earlier, such like that?
That's a great question. So yes, we do. So we have space at Maddie, and I think Susan, did she go? Yeah, it looks like she left. So at Maddie, we're looking at some of the buildings that are there. We've got these classrooms have different specifications. They need to be larger, usually 1,350 square feet, and then have a bathroom in them. We're lucky that we have a new building. It does open up some spaces. So we will have space at Maddie, and at Cali, we will potentially have space as well. We've got to move some things around, but we think we can expand by 4 classes at Maddie. We don't know what the interest will be. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's less. But we think we could accommodate 4 classrooms for sure on top of our one that we already run. And at Cali, we can add 2 more. So we can accommodate a lot of kids, right? If you figure normally TK is anywhere between 20 and 24 students, 24 times 6 more classrooms, that's a lot of kids. My math right's about a 150. But also, Eric, there's grants out there that are available. Unfortunately, we're not the best candidate right now, but there's a ton of money that was put out to build facilities for TK. And it's all based on a scoring mechanism. I'm not an expert on how it's scored, But essentially, our consultant has told us we're not great candidates. Be that as it may, that was for you, Chris, my famous statement. We are putting together our application. And we will submit it, and maybe in future funding cycles, we'll be a more competitive district. But we're not as low income as some other districts. We don't have the facilities. We have extra facilities at Maddie, right? Because of the new building, and many places just don't have that luxury.
If I can kind of continue with a follow-up. So currently we have ECC, the Extended Child Care Program. Will this still work in conjunction with them, or will this kind of take the place of some of that?
It's a good question. So I think it's more 4Cs for this one for TK. And we have talked with 4Cs, and it could impact, them being on site because of the facilities, not because of their program necessarily, but because of the facilities. I have met with Melanie Dotson, who is the executive director for 4Cs, and we actually have another meeting on Friday because I've let her know that we may need to use the buildings that they're currently occupying so that we can expand our offerings, right? So we're not going to offer less. We're trying to offer more, but it could impact them because their classrooms have bathrooms and they fit the requirements for TK. We're still going to meet to see if there's some pathway forward for our partnership because obviously this is all 4-year-olds. So next year we've made the conscious decision to focus on our 4-year-old students, but there's also 3-year-olds who we could expand with as well. But this is a heavy lift, to be honest, and there's also childcare funding that's come through. It's another heavy lift. So we felt like the most appropriate thing was to do 4-year-olds really well and then expand to 3-year-olds the following year, potentially.
I'm going to jump in. I always wait to see. Nobody's going forward. I'm jumping. One, I love the outside the box thinking. And that going forward, we have to try and raise more revenue. And ADA is the way that we can do that. And so I appreciate you and your staff really exploring this and working it out. I'm sure there's going to be some kinks. That's how and again, going forth only. I like that. Is this going to be something that you can do a year-by-year review? Or is this, we approve it, we go forward? Are there places where we're going to be able to look at information, weigh things out, and make adjustments as far as our board policies of how we go forward? Because this might be financially really, really good for us. 1 year it might be really good. 1 year it might not be so good. And then the next year is good again, just depending on how we're forecasting. So we kind of need to be able to, I want to make sure that we're able to kind of look at it. Does the district, do these 4-year-olds, do we need like an interdistrict transfer? Let's say a kid lives in Santa Rosa and the parents want to bring here. Do we do interdistrict transfers? Or are they not even in the loop yet, or we do?
We do. At Cali, it's different because they're a charter. They don't require the interdistrict transfer agreement. But at Maddie, yes, we would need an interdistrict transfer.
Got it. It's from wherever that school district that they live.
Correct.
Even if they don't, let's say they're in Santa Rosa and Santa Rosa doesn't offer it.
Correct.
Even if they didn't offer it, we would still need that.
We would still need it, but that's part of, so school districts don't have to approve interdistrict transfers, but if you offer a program that the school district doesn't offer, that is one of the reasons that they're often approved, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. And then, so any kid that's in Windsor would be automatically enrolled.
Yes.
Whereas any kid outside of Windsor, we would, like any other process, would have to look to either approve or not approve their
Correct.
transfer.
But having said that, we do have more classroom spaces potentially. Now, they don't fit the standard with the bathroom inside of it, 1,350 square feet. They're the 960 square foot portables that, you're not breaking the law, right? So we could potentially have spillover into those classrooms if needed. So usually when it comes to the state, if your plan is really abiding by all of their requirements, they don't come beat you up. But if you come up with a plan where you're basically skirting all their requirements, then they come beat you up. So we're trying to abide by all the requirements. But if we have a ton of interest, Rich, then we could potentially use those portables that are set to be, removed to accommodate.
So this is free preschool.
This
for
is free
4-year-olds.
preschool for 4-year-olds.
Potentially as many in Windsor who want to enroll.
Yes.
Do you call it free or do you call it state funded?
Well, it's both. So now we're
I
getting
mean,
into
I'm,
the
I'm
other,
talking about to parents though, from the parent
So
perspective.
we've talked a lot about this. We actually have a plan to message this properly. It's going to happen toward the end of January. This is simply the first step for the district not to be presumptive that we're going to do this. We needed to have the board approve this concept by changing the board policy. Our job now is to talk about, do we call it universal transitional kindergarten or universal preschool? How we message it is something that we've been talking, Heather and myself, Jessica, DAT, we've all been talking a lot about. And it's funny because do we call it universal preschool or universal TK? Parents would say universal preschool. My DAT team would say preschool. The teachers at Maddie would say TK because I've actually asked all of them. So it's going to be an interesting decision that we still kind of have to decide on. And you talked about state-funded preschool. We are going to become a state-funded preschool because that's how you access the funds. However, the messaging is going to be tricky, right? So I want to be careful in terms of messaging tonight because we're going to be really, I guess, strategic in how we do this. And we still have to develop all of it.
At the risk of just not listening to what you just told me not to do as my first whatever, I just want to say, when I think everybody knows what forget universal, preschool. Everyone knows what preschool is.
Yes.
Not everybody knows what TK is.
True.
Not even some people
That's been
who
part of our
ran
discussion.
for the board and had to say, now TK is exactly what? Help me define that a little bit more.
Right.
After having 5.5, 6, 7 kids go through the program, right? So just from a marketing, the easier it
Understand.
is to understand, the more buy-in we may get. I might have lost just 3 votes, but
No.
but universal pre-K, it seems like it's more self-explanatory. Whether it's technically accurate or not, I don't know.
I actually think everybody in this room probably agrees with you. We just have to, be mindful that we're listening to everybody and really, considering. I mean, this was the TK and the kinder teachers who really pushed TK. So I think that we've got to consider those opinions.
Okay.
And I don't think we've completely settled, but I mean, your point is well taken. That's really all we've talked about is people know preschool. And so it may market better.
I guess the thing that I would talk to whoever wanted TK, my comment is are we trying to attract, who are we trying to attract?
Sure.
Trying to attract the people and their kids, and they don't understand the TK language necessarily, but they all understand preschool. That would be
Your point is well taken. And we even had my parent advisory committee, I had Heather attend. We talked a lot about this as well. And they were on the preschool train.
And I can see it from the side of the teacher because preschool a lot of times means daycare. And
Right.
Transitional kindergarten means there's a structure with academics and a lot of learning happening.
That's exactly right.
So I get their side of it too.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way to use both unless, it gets too long, universal pre-K, TK.
I know.
But maybe there's a way to incorporate that in.
Is that what the question is? Is that with, and this is for my own edification. So if you say preschool, some people think that maybe the kids, it's more babysitting than educational.
Potentially.
Whereas TK is more, the thought is that it's more educational than daycare.
Potentially. Preschool.
Is that the perception conflict?
It could be. I think for some people it may be, but again, we're all over the map here in our opinions on this. And so, but yes, that could be one of the arguments that people make. Also, at some point, we'd like to consider doing something like this for 3-year-olds.
Right.
So the delineation between 3 and 4 has to be present in our marketing as well, because you do want to show that it's a step above from 3 to 4. Otherwise, it's not as attractive, I don't think, to certain families.
Okay.
So anyway, we've got some work to do here still. I mean, we can come back in January and we could explain what our marketing, this could be our grand opening, if you will, of letting everybody know this is what we're really going to do. So maybe we can commit, because Heather's really already kind of thinking this through, and this is what she does, right? This is her expertise. So she's kind of leading the way in terms of how we're going to roll this out. But all the things we're talking about right now, we've been debating for about a month.
Well, I definitely love to be kept in the loop. I think it's really exciting. I think offering preschool and childcare is really critical to meeting the needs of our parents. So I'm totally on board. Would love to, keep being part of the conversation.
I'd like to, take a break. Can we go out to the audience? Is there anybody that would like to speak on this matter from the podium? All right, not seeing anybody. We can bring it back to the board. Is there any more questions anybody has of anybody that presented?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the update to board policy 6170.1.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Motion passes 5-0 with Kai also voting yes.
Thank you, Kai.
For the children, buddy. All right, we're going to move to 7.6, consideration of approval of contract with Big Picture Learning for coaching and support services related to Title, I wrote over this. Is it Title 7, Title 6, and Native American communities. I'd like to turn this over to Superintendent Decker and
We're both going to present on
Yeah,
this.
Trustee Ahmad.
Trustee Ahmad. So Stephanie, would you go through the background because you ultimately loop me in and then I can talk about the proposal.
Yeah, so I'll just give some background. So probably a couple years ago, we had a conversation on the board about wanting to find ways to support Native American students and just be more involved in the Native American community. I think that probably started when we knew that the Lytton Band of Pomo Indians would be building housing in the area and really wanted to find out what can we do to make sure, this new community and even our existing students feel supported. So we started reaching out and making connections with the community. And that led to conversations that we had probably over the past year and a half with some folks from Big Picture Learning who brought in different guest speakers, so kind of this little community group that we put together ad hoc. So it was really just learning and finding out how we could move forward. And so that led to the contract that we have here, which is for basically a demographic survey to help us identify kind of who are our Native American students, how many do we have, potentially how many will we have in the future, and then to figure out, which will enable us to then apply for Title VI funding, and also will give us an idea of what kind of support services we can offer, what programming would look like in the future. So I think it's really exciting that we got to this phase because it's been probably a couple years of work to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've captioned everything pretty well. I think it's really important to us to be a good partner and make sure that we are creating an environment for our potential Native students, I should say, that is conducive to their learning. So this demographic study can help inform how we go about our business as a school district to be a place that makes sense for them to attend. And so this is, I mean, you can read through it. It's $30,000, $750 for the cost of services. And we're partnering with Big Picture Learning. You heard from earlier Forest, Windsor Oaks, North Bay Met's Big Picture Learning School. And we'd be partnering with them to do this. And we would be utilizing, we were given an amazing gift from the tribe. And this would be the first expenditure from that gift of $1 million to the district to pay for this demographic study.
Very good. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to talk on 7.6?
And I'll just remind the board that we did have a public comment way earlier in the meeting that was on this item.
Right, yeah, Karen Alves spoke earlier. Okay, very good. Not seeing anybody else. I'm going to close public session or public comment. And bring it back to the board. Are there any other questions we have? If not, I'd like,
Yeah, so, one of my themes that I'm always concerned about is, having a diverse faculty. And I'm wondering if there's a consideration for hiring Native American teachers and faculty going forward, with this new direction.
For sure. I think, Malinali, we've talked a lot about this, and I think that we have to probably be creative with how we market ourselves to Native American teachers. as well as Latinx teachers, frankly, because we do prioritize these individuals when we're looking at hiring, and it matters to us. We know that we want to have our faculty, reflect our student body. We know all of those things, but it's been difficult to attract some of these individuals. So I think that we really have to think out of the box as a district to see how we can be a more attractive place for Latinx community or Native American community or African American community to apply to, be a part of. So I've texted Chris during this meeting that we're going to set something up with you, and we're going to try to do some brainstorming to see if we have some strategies that we're missing.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I do want to mention 2 comments with respect to what you just said. And the first one is that I think it's really, really important for, our diverse student body because it's important for them to see educators that look like them.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. And then number 2, that also, data shows that, when there's a diverse faculty, that the school district grows economically, but also academically, the success of the student body also grows. So I think that those are really 2 important points that we should keep in mind. And then my third point is I think we should also look to other school districts throughout California. So primarily in the South, I know, for example, in San Diego, and then also in the Bay Area, that there have been lots of successful strategies of how to attract and retain, diverse faculty as well.
Your point is well taken, and it matters to us. So I think we're gonna try to do a good job and figure this thing out.
Right, thank you. I appreciate it. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is that I know my colleagues at Sonoma State also have access to really good research about, the successful outcomes of when you do diversify.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion
That's what I was going to suggest. I think you should.
to approve the contract with Big Picture Learning for coaching and support services.
I'll make the second motion.
Okay. Is there any other discussion amongst the board? All right, I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor and approving 7.6, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes 5-0 with the 1 student.
The only thing I would make a mention to, and that doesn't affect my vote, but we might want to double check on the financial piece of it. I think that money may have been tied to facilities. So we need to be careful with that if we're going to spend it elsewise or otherwise.
Good to know.
But I can't promise that it was, but
Me.
it was years ago, 7, 8 years ago when we got that donation. And I think it was in lieu of finding places for students to house when they came as houses were being built and such. But
Got it.
This
I'll
may
check
connect.
that. I wasn't aware of that, Eric.
So,
I can't
either
promise that
way-
it was, but I think it may have been.
Either way, we're committed to this, and so we'd find a way to fund it.
yeah, should we, based on your presentation and where you said the money's going to come from, maybe we should reset the motion no matter where the money's coming from.
That's up to you if you guys would
Yeah,
like to do
let's
that.
just
I
do
think
that.
it's
Yeah.
implied,
Ju-
but that's fine.
What's that?
Okay.
Are you okay with it, Eric? Or?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I
Okay,
just wanted to
okay.
make sure it went forward and it didn't hang up something if we did catch that
I think
later
that's
on.
fair.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's good. All righty. On to 8.1, any future school board agenda items, the calendar? I just want to bring up that I think we're going to let folks know that we're going to set up some study sessions for some things coming up. The dates aren't set yet, but I know that one of them is going to be about math. We're going to do there's going to be a variety of study sessions that we're going to be putting up. And as we create that calendar, we'll make sure everybody knows plenty in advance so that way we get a lot of participation. Anybody, anything in particular somebody wants to bring up? Alrighty. Moving then to 9.1, meeting adjournment. Can I get a motion?
Happy holidays, everybody.
That sounds like a.
Hey, Bill, that was too early. Was that a motion?
That's a
What's
motion.
my pre-adjournment?
Do you want to move to adjourn, Bill?
That was a motion to
Oh,
adjourn. Open
okay.
your house, what time? When?
Okay, motion by
Okay.
trustee Adams.
I'll-
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll-
Congratulations, President Carnation. You almost made it to 9:30.
Nope, we got it before.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
All righty, motion carries. Thank you.
Happy holidays, to everybody, particularly the staff that gets the time for a break.
Thanks, Bill. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
You did it. No dirty words. I'm sorry, Austin, when I said your last name the first time, that was not a cuss word. It was just for those at home, just in case.
All right.
Can we do a selfie?
Oh, incoming, outgoing.